truck and turn it up, it's time for the show. JB and JC and Mad Dog Mully, it's a power three for these amigos. A lunchtime meet and treat, a power trio. With guests and fans that really rock, it's time to talk 3 hours about those damn Gamecocks. So grab a sandwich, soup, or beer, and let's go. It's time for the show. Oh no, it's time for a TG, the Gamecock Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Built by the Barndominium Company, presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands, and part of the Chief Sports Network.
Touchdown Carolina! Touchdown Ace Sanders! Pressure! And he just dives in!
Here's J.C. Sherbert, Phil Wollinax, and Jamie Bradford.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard. Welcome home. Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. and presented by Our friends at Resto Pros. They're when you need them, Resto Pros of the Midlands. Resto Pros Midlands, SC.com. The Barn Co. is building dream homes, and we know that they have fielded, and I just talked to Alicia yesterday, as a matter of fact, a ton of phone calls from folks here in the great state of South Carolina and up there in North Carolina as well. TheBarndoCo.com. Man, they're the best. They are Gamecock owned and operated, one of the nation, and we are so honored always to work with them. JC, Mad Dog, and myself, it is election day in America. We know many of you will be out and about casting your votes if you haven't already. We'll be here to entertain you until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Between now and then, we'll be joined by Alex Jones and Pat DiMarco. We'll go in the film room with Pat coming up at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. Alex here in just a minute. We'll recap a pretty disheartening loss last night for the men as they open the 24-25 basketball season. The ladies do win, barely though, out in Vegas. And, of course, plenty of Gamecock football as a trip to Nashville is on deck following the 44-20 throttling of Texas A&M. Tonight, the college football playoff rankings will be released. We will talk about that. We'll play fill in the blank playoff style, if you will. Shane Beamer will meet with the media today at 1 o'clock. It's going to be we got a lot to get to here over the next few hours. So glad to have all of you. We also, next Saturday for the Missouri game, those who are club chief members, check your emails. We have sent you an email, and you can get your tickets to come hang out with us before the ball game from 12 to 3 at TLC Sports Bar in Columbia. And we've got a buffet, and we got some drinks and all kinds of stuff that'll be included in that. So make sure you check your email, and we'll make sure that we resend those as well, so we can get all of you in there who are club chief members. It is exclusive to club chief members. With that said, though, we are joined by the pride of Hampton County, the great Alex Jones. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good. Look, Alex, Carolina football sure was, people were feeling good about things. Basketball happened last night. North Florida, the Ospreys came into town, and they escaped CLA 74-71. What on planet Earth happened over there?
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina just really didn't have a lot of key stats go their way. I mean, you think about it, you shoot 5 of 16 from 3 in that game, and really the free throws too, 14 of 25, 56%. I mean, you think about it, you lose by 3 and you miss that many free throws, and I mean, to get out rebounded by North Florida too, like it's just a lot of things did not go South Carolina's way, and a lot of things that they have to correct here moving forward.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the entire game. I was in and out watching the ladies play. It looked a little discombobulated. If we know anything about Coach Parrish, we've talked to him plenty. He'll get that fixed. You just hope that this is a quad 4 loss right now. We'll see how good North Florida is down the road, but hopefully this isn't something that hangs over their head for the entire season. I think there's been a lot of overreaction. I'm not trying to minimize the loss. It's never good. I get it. But this happens to be one of those years where they have so many opportunities to overcome this. So they have a nice year, they'll be fine. And so I'm pretty actually confident they will. The thing that stood out to me, we did mention this the other day. Remember, JC, Phil, we mentioned the other day after that scrimmage. I said, look, if you're upset about anything, the three-point shooting and the free throw shooting, that's probably something maybe to keep an eye on. It certainly, as you just mentioned, reared its head last night. But Nick Pringle played 22 minutes. He was in the starting lineup. He didn't foul anybody. He did have 9 boards, but he only attempted 2 shots. I know that he went to the free throw line and hit 3 of 8, which isn't good. He needs to hit 3 more. But just 2 field goal attempts in over 20 minutes, they didn't bring him in for that. He's going to have to get a little bit more active down there probably, right?
Yeah, and I think that was, really the front court play kind of got off to a really slow start in that game. I think that's a little bit concerning. Just, you mentioned Nick Pringle only shooting 2 times. Like, I think you'd imagine when you brought him in, he would have more of an impact offensively, and I'm sure that's something they're going to look at here in the film. Just how can we get him, more into this offensive game? Because they're going to need it. I mean, Colin Murray-Bowles did score 17 points, but he kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start too, and really kind of put it together at the end. But just a slow start really kind of doomed South Carolina. And then when you have the lead there with about 4 minutes left and then don't score for, I think it was nearly 3 minutes at the end, you're going to let a team like North Florida, that's an experienced team with a head coach that's been there, many years. Like, it's a team that they let hang around. If you let a team like that hang around, it can get really dangerous really quick. And South kind of learned that last night.
Yeah, go ahead, JC. Go ahead, bud.
Nah, it was just a terrible. What got me about it was they didn't look like they cared. I mean, honestly. I mean,
Lamont said that after.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything nobody doesn't know. Every loose ball they got, there were multiple times. It's supposed to be a great front court, right? Multiple times, their guy just drove to the lane, and the Gamecock defenders bailed on the play. They didn't rebound worth a flip against a team they should have clearly dominated on the boards. All that stuff is about hustle and about care and desire and want to. And they, shockingly enough, because it's shocking that given the way they played last season, this looked worse than his first team. Because his first team really, didn't have a lot of a chance. You had G.G. Jackson out there. What do you do with him? This looks like they'll have 5 G.G. Jacksons on the court as freshmen. The guys that played hard last year did not. It was discombobulated. It was awful. And just like with Old Dominion, I'm not going to sit here and say North Florida's going to win the Atlantic Sun or be good or anything like that. And I do realize these things happen, especially in the SEC. They start the season too early. Nobody's into basketball right now. I thought the environment was actually better than most of the openers Carolina's had. The students got there, and I felt bad for them. They had to witness such a poor showing. I mean, these guys got to look themselves in the mirror. I mean, because they're better than that. That's the bottom line. And I'm not overreacting or anything, but that is a bad precedent to set right out the gate. When you know you're going to have to play hard, you're still South Carolina, man. This program's not arrived. You still have to fight and claw and scratch for everything you got. That's the DNA of this program, the standard that was set last year, and they utterly failed to live up to it.
And Lamont kind of mentioned last night, he's like, I think we're outplayed and overall in a lot of different ways. And, I thought his quote, he said, it's okay not to play well, but that's going to happen from time to time. But I thought as competitors, I thought they dominated us. And it's one of those where, it's going to be a wake-up call for those guys, but you'd rather it be a wake-up call with a close win and you're 1-0 instead of 0-1 and you're getting a wake-up call. So, I mean, it's obvious they gotta not change. I mean, they gotta take it up a notch here in their game because I agree, JC was not completely there.
Yeah,
they led the whole game. I mean, it was kind of like that Charleston Southern game last year. Although I felt a little bit more nervous about this one. That one I never thought. I mean, it was a 4-point game. I didn't feel Charleston Southern would win. And Charleston Southern was just everything they threw up was going in last year. These guys actually, North Florida, it's not like they came in and drilled a bunch of threes. They were good, but they missed a lot too. There was one play with the game on the line. They missed. They got the rebound. They missed again. They got I think they got 3 offensive rebounds and then finally drilled a 3.
Well,
come on.
Yeah, I think that's they ended up having 69 field goal attempts last night. Did the Ospreys? Gamecocks fired up 56 shots. So certainly, obviously, that was a contributor in this. I mean, they didn't shoot it lights out from, like you said, JC, from beyond 3 or at the free throw line. Overall, it was a pretty poor night, actually. 20 of 38 between the two programs at the free throw line, which isn't any good. Lamont did say after the game, and I love his. That's one of the reasons why. I'm not going to overreact about that. You start to see a trend here, and okay, you start to wonder what's going on. But he said, "Hey, look, we got exactly what we earned. We earned that tonight." Luckily for them, they play this week. They get back on the floor Friday night against South Carolina State, and then on Tuesday again against Towson before heading to Indiana. Did he say anything about that? And did he mention anything about from a change standpoint? Like, would he look at shuffling the lineup or anything like that? I thought Jacoby Wright's been really good off the bench for a couple of years, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to put him in the lineup.
Yeah, he kind of mentioned, they'll look at everything before South Carolina State. And, Jacoby Wright, I thought he was, if you're going to find a bright spot in that game, it was Jacoby Wright. I thought he played really well, had a bunch of assists, but I think he's one where his whole career at South Carolina has been really good off the bench. So I'm not sure you really mess with that. The one thing I'd potentially do is bring Cam Scott into the lineup. He scored 6 points last night and kind of, these first 2 games, obviously exhibition in this one, he's kind of provided a little bit of a spark when he's come off the bench. And, I think he could be one that you insert into the lineup just because of what he's brought so far.
Yeah, I don't know what he did to mess up to not play, but I thought he was good when he was in there, especially scoring. Jacoby Wright, I mean, I thought he was really good, but with the game on the line, he dribbled off his foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and that's just the kind of stuff, those mistakes happen, and I'm not trying to nitpick, but that's the difference between being disappointing and really good. There is a fine line, especially these days with the portal and in basketball. They got guys out of the portal that nobody had ever heard of from NAIA and the Ivy League, and guess what? Those guys can play, and they're not scared of you. They didn't come in here on November 4th intimidated by a team that got bounced in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They're not, and then nobody could shoot. I mean, it was, I mean, I can handle any of those, and I'm not overreacting. I'm just sounding the alarms because this cannot continue. This has to end like soon, because you start getting in these habits and there's these games that pop up, and in a critical situation, they're going to revert. One of the great things about last year's team is the start they got off to, guys. I mean, they handled Upstate. They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Notre Dame. They wasn't always pretty, but they won. And for a program that's been sick of losing to the Saint whatevers of the world, or the whoever's of the world, and been told it was okay, piss down your leg and tell you it's raining, and then come tournament time, you're not even close to the net because of those losses. That's a hard pill to swallow, because I thought, frankly, they were past that.
We'll see. They got the next couple at home, South Carolina State and Towson, 7:00 tip Friday night, 7:00 tip next Tuesday night. Then they'll hit the road for Assembly Hall in Bloomington. That's a 3:00 game, Saturday, November the 16th on Peacock, and that'll be their stiffest challenge thus far this season against the Indiana Hoosiers. The ladies did win, Alex. Takeaways from that one?
Yeah, they had one in that game too. They had kind of battled back, down early, and they just kind of hung in there and stuck around, and eventually, I think just talent kind of took over in that game. And Chloe Kitts had a really nice game stat wise too, and looks like she's maybe taking her game to the next level. So it's a really good win for them to go out there against a Michigan team that was capable of pulling off that upset, but they kind of leaned on their veteran players in that one and took it to victory.
Yeah, I didn't think that they played particularly well. I mean, they shot 25 of 75 from the floor, 5 of 26 from long range. It was a sleepy night. If it wasn't for Chloe Kitts' double-double, 19 and 14, they wouldn't have won the game. Joyce Edwards, 29 minutes off the bench, the heralded freshman. She almost had a double-double herself, 10.7 boards. What'd you see from her that it's such an experienced group, right? With all the players they brought back from last year, but Joyce Edwards seems like she's going to fit right in.
Yeah, and that's not surprising knowing what she did at high school. She was, obviously a really, really good player at Camden, and you just, you wonder, making that transition to college is not easy for anybody. I mean, 5-star freshmen go through that, but it seems like she hasn't struggled with that one bit and, taken off from, for where she was in high school. So, I think she's going to be she's going to play a key role on this team and is going to be one of those contributors down low. And I mean, it seems like she's really just picked up right where she left off in high school.
It gets more difficult. They got to head to Charlotte this Sunday, the Spectrum Center. Number 1, Carolina. Number 9, NC State, 3:00 on ESPN. Alex, they're going to have to get some things right before they get in there into that ball game as well. All right, let's move to football. Carolina 44-20 over the Aggies. We just found out this morning a couple of nice awards dished out, more awards for this Carolina football team. Shane Beamer named the Dodd Coach of the Week, the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year Foundation and the Peach Bowl do this every week, and they have named him the Dodd Trophy Coach of the Week presented by PNC Bank. Also, Dylan Stewart this morning was named the Sean Alexander Freshman Player of the Week for his performance against the formerly top 10 ranked Texas A&M Aggies this past weekend. So Alex, how about this, man? In the last 4 games that they've played, all right, you're talking about Ole Miss, talking about Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. Carolina defense has given up a combined 22 points. What's that tell you?
I mean, it tells me that second half adjustments have been quite on point. I mean, they've been really, really good. And, really they've been good in the first half too, but they've really kind of adjusted well to, seeing what the offense is throwing at them in that first half. And then they've just been taken off defensively in that second half with what they've adjusted. So, I thought defensively offensively, we talked about going into this game, they're going to need their best performance from a bunch of key players. And I thought Lenore Sellers had his best performance. I thought Rocket Sanders had his best performance. And I thought the offensive line had their best performance too. And, it was just a really overall incredible performance by South Carolina, specifically on both sides of the ball in the second half. And also, you got to give credit to Alex Herrera too. I mean, for the kicks he made, I thought the biggest kick he made was that one right before halftime. It really gave South Carolina the momentum back when it seemed like they had kind of lost it after A&M gave the lead and made the score pretty much 0-0 in the halftime. And then, as we've kind of mentioned, they kind of took off from there.
It felt to me like that off week, they dialed in on who are our best players and what do we do well.
Mm-hmm.
That was their. I mean, we've talked about Lenore's. I mean, obviously, with the injury, put a little bit of a hiccup in his development, but he has developed. He's developed better than any young quarterback in this league thus far this season. We all knew about Rocket Sanders. He had a little bit of an injury bug too, and of course, we've known for a couple of years now about how talented Josh Simon is. Last year, he probably should have been even more part of the game plan at times than he was. But that was their day. That was their day. And I don't know. Obviously, if you're Vanderbilt and anybody else after that, you're preparing for these three guys. But and who knows what it looks like when we get there this weekend? I don't know, Alex. You never know. But it does seem like this offense is kind of molding itself into these are our best players. They need to have the football as often as they can. And if they do and we're successful, we're going to win the game.
Yeah, and Shane Beamer kind of mentioned in the press conference last week before the A&M game, like, they kind of looked in the bye week, go, what do we do best, and what do we need to stick with moving forward? And it looks like they did just that. And even in the game, I thought too, they really stuck with what was working offensively. You think about that little quarterback run play where they run it to the right side and have the guards pulling. Like, they ran that multiple times, and it seemed like it worked every time. And I thought Dowell Loggins had his best game as a play caller too. And I mean, some of the plays they drew, especially that one to Josh Simon, that second touchdown, that was a great play. He had Texas A&M's defense kind of moving all over the field because there's so many different options. And, I thought just offensively, they really have kind of, we know they want to run the ball. And I think it was key in that game. And it helps when you run for, 200 some yards or in that game. That's really going to help open up the passing game. But, just overall, that offense had their best game of the season. It was pretty fun to watch.
Attack the edges, man. They attack the edges. The offensive line had a better game, I think, than they've been having. I think if you didn't have the magic of Lenore Sellers, I don't know that anybody would agree with that. He definitely twisted his way out of, I know, at least 3, if not 4 or 5 sacks where guys – we're going to get into some of this in the film room with Pat coming up here at noon. A couple of just missed blocks and things like that. But overall, outside of that, the numbers are what they are. So you got to give those guys some credit. What'd you see from them?
Yeah, I thought run blocking wise, they were really, really good. I mean, Rocket Sanders had a bunch of holes to open running lanes to run through. And I mean, that was key in that game. And, I think, in pass protection, they did have some issues. You could watch that little, the sky cam and you can see that, there were some twists that they didn't pick up or like a delayed blitzer. But when you have a guy like Lenore Sellers back there, he can work his way out some sacks. And he did this weekend. It was pretty incredible, some of the sacks that he got out of. But, I thought offensive line, it seems like they've maybe changed some things in the run game over the bye week, or maybe not changed some things, but just found ways to improve because they went up against a really good run defense. I mean, the number 1 run defense in the SEC going into this one, and they ran all over them. So you got to keep doing what you're doing in that one because, Vanderbilt's an improving defense as well.
Yeah, we're going to get to – yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was going to ask you, Torricelli Simpkins, SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. That warmed my heart because my friend Cedric Williams, everybody's friend Cedric Williams, actually talked a lot of good stuff about this guy. So did Nashawn Goddard, former Gamecocks that I know. And I think Torricelli's a great kid. And this is his last chance to impress the scouts or whatever. But wanted to get your thoughts on him. The pin and pull thing where he pulls, I think he can play that game.
Yeah.
I think he's really good at that. Your thoughts on Simpkins and kind of how this set him up for success with the I don't want to say different things, but the emphasis on the things they were doing Saturday night.
Yeah, he's one guy. He plays angry. Like you're one that you don't want to get in his way when he's blocking you. Like, and especially when he's pulling. Like he's a guy who's going to run at you, and if he's got you in his sights, it's not going to be a good day for you. And I mean, he just plays angry, and I think he brings a mentality to that offensive line. And they kind of talked about that in the preseason. Just the mentality he brings. It's just kind of that angry. Just all out kind of effort. And, I think that's kind of resonated with the rest of the offensive linemen as well. And on those pin and pull plays, we saw a lot of that against A&M, and on most of those plays in the run game, it worked. It had A&M kind of flushed it a little bit, and they had a lot of open running lanes when they're attacking the edge using that pin and pull. So I think that's got to be something that they continue throwing in the playbook every week.
Yeah, I mean, it works.
Yeah.
I think
It's
yeah, I think I know what JC's going to say. I mean,
it's worked around here for a while.
That's where I was going. I mean, I think
Bobo, McClendon,
yeah,
Satterfield. That's been something for some reason. The offensive lineman here have been able to do.
Well, maybe you can attribute that to the fact that South Carolina hasn't had the best or one of the best offensive line groups in the SEC. That they're just haven't been that mauling group or just line up, hat on a hat, and we're going to run it down your throat. They have to be a little bit creative, and when you have guys, Alex, like Rocket, Rocket's going to play in the NFL, and if he stays healthy, he's going to play in the NFL for a while. And you got Lenore Sellers, who it seems like, I know he mentioned it. We talk about it every week around here, and it came out of his mouth this week, so maybe it becomes a little bit more realistic or real to the fans. The game is starting to, kind of slow down a little bit here. And when your quarterback is thinking in real time, not sped up time, and processing decisions, and you feel like you can give the football to your running back and he can make some things happen, it's hard to stop an offense or to slow down an offense like that. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's who they're going to be moving forward. They haven't changed anything on the offensive line from a personnel standpoint. So that conversation's done. We've had it around here for weeks. There's no point in continuing to have it. Those are going to be their guys moving forward.
Yeah, and kind of going back to Norris, I thought obviously it was his best game. You just look at that from looking at the box score and tell it's his best game. But one of the things I thought he did really well was decision making, and I think it was his best game by far from that standpoint. And I think just we kind of talked about it, having that bye week where he's healthy and kind of having that bye where he can just reset and kind of look back to see what he was doing right, what are the things he can improve on. I think that was huge for him just because he didn't have that first round of the bye week. And I thought one thing that really stood out about me to him this weekend was just the way that, when he saw when it was time to get out of the pocket, he left. There wasn't any, just kind of hanging around and waiting to see who came open. He took off and either rolled outside and found an open receiver or took off running. And, I thought just the decision making, was really good by him. And we talk about it every week. He's improving every week. And, having a game like that against a really good defense can only help him.
That's a really good point, isn't it, JC? I mean, he talking about the fact that Lenore's a lot of those where I don't know. I'm not a quarterback and I'm not a quarterback coach and I'm not calling the plays or anything like that. I don't know. But there were a lot of just design runs off the edges, or maybe they weren't necessarily just design runs, but they gave him one thing to see. If it's not there, you go ahead and go. I don't know, but he was able to make decisions quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like in the game the other day, and it seemed like that was really, really, really adding a wrinkle into what this offense can provide, Alex.
Yeah, and just I think it allows him, especially as a redshirt freshman, where we've kind of talked about a lot's being thrown at him, like having those quick reads, quick decisions where you having maybe 1-2 progressions and then go. And I think that just only helps him to be confident in what he's looking at. And really, there are sometimes he got out of the pocket because he had to get out of the pocket because a blitzer was coming through. But I just thought his decision making was really on point in that game.
One thing I thought that was interesting last week, we're sitting here while the players are in the press conference and everybody starts hitting up the chat box about triple option football, and apparently the players kept mentioning it. I don't think you saw a lot of triple option football.
I didn't see any.
I thought I saw a lot of I'm not saying there was never any decision, because a lot of those passes to Josh Simons are kind of option where you can there were scramble plays, there was design runs, and they ran power run plays with a pin and pull. I like it because I think this offensive line, if it knows where it's going and it doesn't get too crazy. And keep in mind, there's young guys, but then there's also guys that haven't played a whole lot at this level, like Simpkins. Their offenses are not, probably were not like Howell's NFL offenses. I think it's good because, you strip the thinking out of it for those guys. And man, oh man, they match up with one of the best defensive lines in the country. Right? So there's not a talent issue. I thought that was kind of cool, and once you give Rocket Sanders and Lenore Sellers a crease, and let's throw Josh Simon in there too. I mean, he's going to break about 3 or 4 tackles most of the time too. Those are freaks, and it was, I guess, Halloween weekend technically. That's when the freaks come out, man. And they did. And I thought, and look, I think triple option is a great idea, but I would probably lean more toward the A&M game plan, not just because it worked, but because the line, and not just because Sellers and Sanders had a good game, but because the line did what it did. That's been a big breakdown. The blocking in general was better because they seemed like they knew where to go. I would probably just run option like every now and then. Remember Steve Spurrier ran it every now and then. There's some, even Lane Kiffin will throw option in there on the goal line or something. I would just maybe shelf that a little bit and kind of go back to like, all right, we're going to line up and we're going to give it to our 230-pound tailback who's blazing fast and who would really like to get to 1,000 yards so he can get the NFL in his last year. Or we're going to let our 6'4", 240-pound quarterback that you can't sack take it into his own hands. Or we're going to get it to our freak tight end or an assortment of wide receivers if people decide to take the tight end away. I think what that does, though, is it does if teams crowd the box, which is what I think Vandy will do, then you have to have a plan B. But, sometimes you can run the ball anyway. Then sometimes you just have to throw to loosen them up. So it's simplistic, but I think it works, Alex. Don't you think with this group right now, given what the line did, the simpler, the better?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't look at what you did against A&M and not go back to what you did. I mean, because obviously everybody was really on point in that game. And kind of offensively, I thought one of the things that, I really liked about what they did is the first play of the game, they took a shot. Now, I think that really kind of set the aggressive mindset that they're going to have. The shot play didn't work, but you really let Lenore Sellers just go out there and air it out on the first play. It was incomplete, but I think that really kind of set and showed they're going to have an aggressive mindset in that game. And when you talk about the triple option stuff, I mean, look at that Josh Simon touchdown. You can tell Texas A&M was, or his first touchdown, you can tell Texas A&M was kind of ready for that triple option look. And I can't remember who the wide receiver was in motion on that play, but they kind of faked it out there like they're going to run that option play, and Josh Simon snuck out there and was wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah, look, the offensive, we need another hour to continue to have offensive conversations around here because you got a couple things going on here. One, they have totally revamped this thing from what they were last year with Spencer Rattler. And, I know that fans have been frustrated at times with Coach Loggins and things that he does and doesn't do and whatever it is. And I'm not saying that I haven't been and that the staff hasn't been. I'm sure there's been some questionable moments. There's no doubt about that. But overall, I don't know how bad it is. To be honest, Alex, you take away which you can't because it's part of your resume. But the Ole Miss game was just a nightmare offensively. It was putrid. It reminded everybody of Florida a couple of years ago. Besides that, and the defense has contributed to this. Let's all be honest. This defense is elite as they come. They're averaging 34 points per game, which is the most in the league in conference play. So, I'm not trying to create some narrative or make some bold statement or something that is or isn't true. I don't know. What I am saying is that they are doing enough to be a damn good football team, which I think they are. And I think you're going to see that tonight. I think when the rankings come out tonight, they're going to be in there and they deserve to be in there. Alex, the question is, moving forward, like when you look at this Vanderbilt game, for instance, Carolina very, very easily could go up there and lose and score 6 points. I don't think this is a good matchup for Vanderbilt, though. the Gamecock defense and the Commodores offense, for all the hoopla that Diego Pavia has gotten this year, I like him. I don't think this is a good matchup for them. I just think it's going to continue to set up the Carolina offense where if they can get the ball in the end zone a few times, I'm not so sure this thing's going to be very close. But that's the way I feel on Tuesday, I guess.
The key defensively for South Carolina is Vanderbilt throws kind of a lot at you. Jerry Kill and Tim Beck are really good at what they do, and
Sure.
they kind of throw a lot of eye candy stuff at you. And Diego Pavia has been awesome, but I think the speed of South Carolina's defense is key this weekend with some of the option stuff they run and kind of containing Diego Pavia. And this is a Vanderbilt team that I think they haven't had a bye week in a while, and they've played a consecutive game, a lot of games consecutively. It could be a game where they are kind of they're going to come out firing and ready to go, but you wonder just how ready to go are they, just playing so many games back to back to back. But defensively, you have to contain Pavia, and they have some receivers there. Junior Sherrill and Quincy Skinner have been really solid for them, and Pavia's kind of same to Sellers in this regard of he can make a lot of happen outside the pocket when he's rolling out, and can make some really great plays in that aspect, either running or throwing the ball. So and offensively, you're going to have to make most of your possessions, because Vanderbilt really limits possessions in the game with their tempo and how slow they kind of they just kind of want to grind the game out and get you to the fourth quarter and see where it goes from there.
Wow, that's why we bring the pride of Hampton County on here. What a great stat. Yeah, they haven't had an off week since September the 28th. Yeah. And in a year where everybody's got two, they've played this will be their sixth straight game, which in college football doesn't seem like a lot, but these days it is. Now they have won 4 of those 5. The only loss against Texas, and it was a 3-point loss. So keep in mind, though, to give Vanderbilt some credit, their 3 losses this year are by a total of 10 points.
Yeah.
They could be undefeated, and they probably feel like they should be. It's going to be quite the challenge. There's no doubt about that. All right. Before we get you out of here, though, what are you hearing about the impact on the recruiting trail that the ball game itself, the environment, everything that was happening this weekend in the capital city has contributed? How has that contributed to what we're hearing now?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, it's made a huge impact on recruiting. I mean, Shane Beamer's talked about it. South Carolina's gotten 2 commitments out of it, with the one Peyton Dyer committed yesterday afternoon, 2026 quarterback, and they have another welcome home that's been out there for a few weeks now too. And I think it's one of those where South Carolina, the atmosphere really in game was one that for those recruits that is going to be huge for. But then Shane Beamer kind of mentioned it too, like being able to watch it on TV. I think recruits were watching that too in a primetime game, and you could really even feel the atmosphere through the TV. So it's one of those where I think the atmosphere is going to play a huge role in that, and South Carolina capitalized both on the field, and I think they're going to capitalize on recruiting as well.
What you hearing, JC?
Oh, no, I was just going to mention this, but Vandy, I said at the beginning of the year, I thought they would be like Paul Johnson's Georgia Tech teams that hang in the balance. And against FBS competition, that's Group of 5 and Power 5, because they did beat the crap out of Alcorn State. But some of those early games against the Alcorn States and Alabama States of the world, bad football teams have run up the score. So I'm taking that out. +7 in overtime against the Hokies, +10 against Ball State, who's terrible. +5 against Bama, +7 against Kentucky, +10 against Auburn in a 17-7 football game. They hang in the balance. It's going to be a close game, most likely. But the Gamecocks, there's always a first time for everything with teams, and it usually comes down to matchups. If the matchup is good on defense, and the Gamecocks don't fall for the eye candy, because that's how you beat a fast defense. You get them running in the wrong direction. And it's tough, but if they can stay disciplined, and then when they aren't disciplined, let the speed take over, this could be the time Vandy just goes down, significantly. But they do. They're not. Auburn 227 yards. Vandy is all Vandy got. Now their defense wouldn't let Auburn run the ball, and Auburn's run it pretty well all year.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe. And Clark Lee's a good defensive coach, so. It should be interesting. On the note about the recruiting, though, Alex, I've said it before. You've heard me say it. I'm sure you've said it. The best thing that can help recruiting is a big-time atmosphere in the stadium, preferably at South Carolina at night, though LSU really helped this year too, and it was a nooner because of game day and all that. That helps more than any kind of win or loss. that you could possibly. Fans care about wins and losses. Players think they're going to come and be the ones that win. They care much more about atmosphere. Is it quote unquote hype, as they say? And I absolutely, South Carolina's delivered on that. And I was cutting up some video earlier, and before I got on, Mike Morgan had said, South Carolina presents its home field advantage as well as any program in college football. And you throw in the SEC television deal now, where Carolina's been on ABC 4 times, at home twice, once at night in prime time. I mean, there's people in Illinois that talk about it. They're like, man, I didn't realize the Cox. They like to say that word. That's why they call them the Cox. I didn't realize the Cox had such a big stadium. Well, what the hell did you think? We played 1AA ball down there because you've never heard of us? I mean, but seriously, it's impressive to even people that have never thought about South Carolina football. And Alex, to me, that means more maybe than, oh my God, they played bad against Old Dominion, which is what we're sitting around talking about.
Yeah, atmosphere and relationships are really like two of the important things in recruiting. And, obviously South Carolina winning that game obviously takes that to the next level too. But, we've seen in previous years here where, recruits come to a big game, South Carolina doesn't play well, but they talk about the atmosphere that they saw. And that's just something that, because they can kind of look at that and say, okay, well, I can commit to South Carolina. I can help South Carolina win the game in this atmosphere. So it's all, atmosphere is huge in that. And kind of credit to ABC. I thought they did a incredible job kind of showcasing the atmosphere in that game. Like, you could really kind of feel it watching through the TV. And, I think South Carolina, the operations team at Williams-Brice Stadium, Justin King and his crew all did an incredible job of just making that stadium, just one of the best environments that it's been really in a long time, I think, too. It was an awesome atmosphere in there.
Been doing it in that ballpark for about 35 years. And there's been a lot of, back in the day, you had to manufacture the environment. You didn't get the light shows and techno and all that stuff. You just had to get drunk, stand up, and cheer the whole time. But the day and age we're in now, there's nobody that does it better than South Carolina. That's for sure. There's not many, if any, that do it better than Alex Jones either. Parting shots before we get out of here?
Yeah, stick around. We got the late night Gamecock show tonight, man. Now we'll continue to talk about, the Texas A&M game at 8 o'clock tonight. We'll look for it. Probably talk a little bit of basketball too. Go look, see what we both saw from that. We'll talk about that, and then we'll kind of the rankings will be at the college football playoff rankings will be out. But then I think South Carolina's going to be ranked. I think they should be ranked. I think they will be in there. We'll talk about that and all other things.
Yeah, just don't mention the election. I hope you guys can hear me better now. I hit a button on my mic that I think has been off.
Yeah, you got to turn your mic on to talk.
Since we've
I
had
was
these
going
problems.
to send it.
It's not
chat.
on.
Yeah,
It's
It's
a
a
button
volume
Mike
button.
was telling me about, and so I have I can hear myself better now. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah,
worried
that's great.
I was going to have to get a new mic, but anyway, yeah, man. Yeah, just don't mention the election tonight. Just word from up high here.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I don't care.
Wasn't planning on that.
I don't care if you do, but yeah, ask Matt about Burt Bacharach's rankings and where they have the Gamecocks at now.
We may skip over that part.
It's Bart Torvich, but I just said
Yeah.
the wrong word because I despise all those rankings. But and I like Bert's better than anybody. So, but it seems fair. But yeah, man, y'all have a great show, and hopefully, folks get sick of the political talk and tune you guys in tonight. You guys do a great job, and thanks for all your work, Alex.
Absolutely, I appreciate y'all having me on. See y'all
You got
next
it, bro.
week.
Thanks,
Be
man.
good, my man.
Thanks,
Hey, I
guys.
did want to give a shout out quick to Xavier, who I know is not from South Carolina, lives far away, like some people I know.
Like
Uh,
across the country. away.
Yeah, and he took his son to his first ever Carolina game, and
man.
a little bit different situation. But I'm taking my stepson to his first ever Carolina game at Missouri in a couple weeks,
There you go.
so I'm fired up about that. I hope he poops his pants,
He
not
might-
literally, but I
Right.
think he will.
I don't know.
He's never seen it. People just don't get into it, So hopefully, I got my fingers crossed he likes it because I'm trying to kind of sell him on, hey, college down there is pretty cool, So I don't know, but I hope we have a good experience like Xavier did.
You can sell him on college down here before the game just by walking him around. If you know what I'm saying, then who cares what happens inside of Williams-Brice Stadium? afterwards. I think the sale will already be done. All right.
Talent all over the place.
Yeah.
On the
you got
field,
that
off the
right.
field. Yep.
It's 11:44. We're way late for a break. We had a timeout, and we'll be right back.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case. Nice. So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan to meet your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
This is Lenore Sullivan from Gamecock Football, and you listen to the show with JC, JB, and Phil.
We will play some fill in the blank a little bit later on tonight. The college football playoff rankings will be released. According to that, it is election day. So those of you that are getting out and voting and mixing us in, you probably all have your kids home like we do here as well at our home. And so we hope we can give you a little bit of balance. You get your politics over there, you get your sports over here. And we're here until 2 o'clock. Pat DiMarco, by the way, is coming up at noon. We'll go well into we got a bunch of plays to go over today with Pat. And so we'll get into the film room. Coach Beamer's going to meet with the media in an hour and, 12 minutes or so. And so I'll step aside and hang out with him for that. And it's Tuesday. We'll have some fun. The rain came through. We got rain. My grass looked up woke up. It's been asleep for the last 4 weeks.
Viagra for your grass, huh?
I don't, but see, here's the thing. I cut it yesterday. And I thought, all right, well, let's get this. I'm getting everything re-edged and cleaned up, getting the beds clean. So it's got to look good with the holidays. Riley, my daughter, and I will start doing some decorating next week. We've got about a 20-foot Christmas tree that we're building, and we've got a 12-foot Santa Claus this year.
Man.
To our front. We've got our house is one of those in the neighborhood that people drive in to see. So we've restructured some things. So I don't want all this rain to come grow the grass again. So,
Clark Griswold.
Yeah, I mean, for real. you do it up down there, JB. I mean, we do, a couple little inflatables and put lights in the bushes. And
we didn't even put up a tree last year, but we went and got married.
That's right. Yeah,
we were. The show was going on the road. Man, now that my mic's fixed, I feel so much better because I couldn't hear myself talk either.
I need to make sure that I get this out real quick, guys. For all of you who don't get a chance to listen or watch us very often, I've actually been in media for 11 years. I know how to work microphones. JC's lack of knowledge when it comes to anything technical is no reflection of me or Phil.
Phil's somewhat of a novice, but a fast learner.
Everybody understands. Like, this isn't some overnight couple dudes sitting in a basement somewhere. I actually have a clue what I'm doing.
The worst is like this, because sometimes I'll go through and review because I'm cutting things up for the website or YouTube or whatever. And there are days where I don't turn, like in StreamYard, sometimes you have to turn on your mic, sometimes you don't. And sometimes I don't look at it. Like if I'm coming in here, just off doing something. And there was one day where I said, well, I had a good show. Well, I was all full of myself. And I went to kind of look at the highlights, and the mic was off the entire time. And what that does is my computer mic comes on. So you can hear me, but it's like some of our guests who don't have mics.
Right.
It's just like, it's like this echo, like they're, and that's fine for guests. I mean, these days it's like, it's they get on Zoom or StreamYard or whatever, just go on their computer. That's fine. But for me, I was so embarrassed. Oh God. I mean, I make light of it, guys, but it frustrates me because I care. I don't want,
Well, here, let me help you, remind you of how this works. When you get in your truck, do you ever look at your gas tank? Or do you just drive, and if you run out of gas, oh crap, you call AAA? Because think about this: do I have gas in my tank or not?
Yeah, Jamie, but that's different. There's a gas gauge right in front of you, and
there's
something that goes
on your
beep, beep, beep. No, this mic
check.
button. There's nothing. There's not even a word that says what it is.
Yeah,
it's a damn picture of a something, and then there's a picture of a mic and a picture of headphones, and there's different options. And I threw away those instructions a long time ago, fellas. I hate instructions. I mean, like, you want to know why I hate IKEA? It's not because I don't like to build things. It's because I hate the instructions. They're in Swedish. They're like they're in Swedish, and then you turn them in English, and you're like, whoever interpreted this must have used like an AI program or Google Translate. Because you're just like, and then you look and there's like, you need this support, and you're like, what the hell? The floor here, the floor, and you're like, I just want to strangle somebody. IKEA is great because it's cheap, but my God, it's worth paying extra just not to have to deal with that. Now my wife would disagree strongly. She would be laughing at me right now, but I'm thankful I got that done because I was worried I was going to have to buy a new mic, and that's just not something I wanted to do right now. And Mike told me what it was, the button, but I hit the button over here, and it just sounded a little better. I recently decided the button over here is the one I needed to hit, and it cleared it right up. It's like taking a Mucinex when you got a stuffy nose.
Let me go back to what I was saying a minute ago. I'll remind everybody, I've been doing this for 11 years, and I know how to buy microphones, and we're not a cheap. This sounds like never mind. Anyways,
like the Fisher Price mics that you used to plug in.
We're not a run of the mill.
No, we try to be.
No, it's funny because I feel the same way when I can't hear myself or whatever, because I'm like, I've got all this freaking money sitting on this table. It should sound better than this.
Well, and then there's this also, when it's like this, it helps me watch my extra noise that I have a habit of making sometimes.
Oh, right.
And I've been better about muting my mic, and I'm not just going to be typing away, because sometimes we'll have people on here that'll type away, and I'm like, oh man, that's really, so I need to be better about that. Well, if you can't hear yourself do it, and right now it's very sensitive and you can hear everything, but if you can't, then chances are I'm going to make some extemporaneous noise as well. So
I do have some news here. Want to make sure we credit our buddy David Cloninger with the Post and Courier. It is relating to Taylor Edwards in his time at South Carolina. Which don't want to read the entire column. This is again David Cloninger with the Post and Courier. If you have a Post and Courier membership, you can go read his hard work. But it does appear that the situation is now this whole this whole matter has been resolved at South Carolina. They have accepted penalties, including a 1-week ban on recruiting, a 4-day reduction in recruiting days in spring of 2025, and rules education to the football staff. However, no current football coach or staffer was charged with any NCAA violations. This has been shut down for almost a month. October the 10th, as a matter of fact, is when they say that this whole situation was resolved. So anything that is related to Taylor Edwards is now in the past. Very, very, very minimal penalties for South Carolina's football staff. According to David Cloninger, there's more in that if you'd like to go read it. But
did Taylor get a show cause?
Nothing.
They didn't say anything about it.
More of it.
I didn't think it would be that big of a deal.
No, when the NCAA's turned into glorified HR when it comes to damn football, it's like, somebody did something wrong. Now everybody that's left has to go through training.
Well, I mean, you wonder if this would have happened like a few years ago, if you would have had stiffer penalties or not. I don't know. At this point,
I think the issue was it happened, and then you could self-report things, and that didn't necessarily happen. And I don't blame Taylor or whoever for not. It was an honest mistake, and you hear things, and you don't want to get anybody in trouble and all that. The big problem was the player. I mean, that guy's a nightmare. I don't know of his stats at UCLA. Maybe he's playing good out there. Maybe he's not. But it was not only was he just not a good teammate, player, worker, or whatever, and was a big problem off the field. I wrote the most embarrassing thing I've ever written about him. I mean, and it's, I just, I wish him the best in life, and I hope his second wife's probably better than his first. Let's just put it that way. Like, yours truly. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of ease into that one, but anyway.
We're at the end of the hour. Pat DiMarco is coming up next tonight at 8:00 on the SEC Network. 4-seeded South Carolina women's soccer. They'll take on 12-seeded Alabama in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament. If you'd like to check that out amongst your election coverage and the late night Gamecocks show as well. Last time out, Carolina fell to second-ranked Mississippi State on October the 30th. The postseason is right around the corner for the women's soccer program. So good luck to them tonight as they take on Alabama. All right, Pat DiMarco knows a little bit about facing Alabama. He beat them in 2010. They were number 1 in the country. We're going to have him get into the film room and talk some ball when we return. Gamecock Traditions, GamecockTraditions.com, 25% off of everything in the store today. Village at Sandhill and in Lexington. GamecockTraditions.com. Visit them, get your discount, get warm. Cool air's coming. It's been a little warm, but cool air's coming. We promise. Go see our friends at Gamecock Traditions. We'll be right back.
There's nothing like Saturday in South Carolina. However you enjoy Gamecock football, Gamecock Traditions has a long-standing legacy of being a part of your game day. From tailgates to touchdowns,
Diving and into the end zone.
Gamecock Traditions has what you need and want with our beloved Block C logo. Get into Gamecock Traditions in Lexington or the Village at Sand Hill, or visit GamecockTraditions.com and have it shipped to your doorstep. We look forward to taking care of your family. Go Gamecocks.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
I'm not allowed to tell the ref how bad he is, so I'm going to need you to do that for me. Oh. He said, "You're gone."
I'm a beggar who could use some help. I'm a seeker, searching for myself. I'm a rolling stone, just waiting on a friend. I'm a lover, wishing on a star for another, with a broken heart to hold each other close till the end.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Sounds great every day, and it's a great day for the national anthem because today is the election. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show, hour 2, brought to you by our friends at Palm Casual, palmcasual.com, the best furniture that money can buy. Bluffton, Myrtle Beach, Mount Pleasant, and Somerville, and we're so thankful for those who have traveled to Palm Casual from all across the great state of South Carolina. It's the best made stuff out there, and you got it for 30 days, and you can bring it back if you'd like. After 30, you got to keep it now, but you get 30 to decide whether you want to, but you'll keep it. I promise. Money back guarantee. It is the best of the best of the best. PalmCasual.com. Speaking of all those best, there he is, the great Pat DiMarco. He does everything well. The great Pat DiMarco, football, golf. I'm not so sure about basketball. Baseball.
I'm more of a big four now. You used to run the point in high school. Kind of outgrew that. Got too slow. All those things. So now I'm more of a big four. Stretch four.
Stretch four.
I can still pop.
Stretch four. He can stretch a drive about 400 yards. It seems sometimes they fly. There's no doubt about that. You've got the award.
We'll see here in 2 weeks. Letterman's golf tournament coming up here on the 15th over at Fort Jackson. I'm actually working with Shelly right now. We're finishing up all the sponsorship stuff, getting auction items in. So excited about that. It'll be fun to reconnect with everybody.
Well, that's going to be a great day, as it always is. One of the neat tournaments. There's always golf tournaments that have to do with something in South Carolina every year. There's tons of them, I feel like. But this one is one of the good ones. And Saturday was a good one at Williams-Brice Stadium. They, look, it was 30-20. You felt like the Gamecock defense, obviously, in the second half, they had it under control. It actually kind of felt a little bit similar to Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to be able to score, and then they stepped on their throat there late in the fourth quarter and put 2 touchdowns on the board in the last 5.5 minutes or so and put them out of their misery. That was great to see from this Gamecock offense.
You know what? I actually did not go to the game, and I actually went to sleep after Debo made that tackle on 4th and 1. I rolled over, and I felt confident. I went to sleep. And I woke up at like midnight, like, damn it, did they end up pulling through? 44-20. I was like, nice.
It was well in hand at that point, right? Yeah. It's like they're not moving the ball here.
Folks, that's what makes our program the best. We got JC who doesn't know how to turn on a mic. We got our film analyst, Pat DiMarco, who hadn't even watched the film.
I watched it.
Doesn't even watch the games. But we're here for you. We'll give you the best coverage you can find.
I got some good shit for you guys today.
Oh, man, notes
down this stuff.
I feel excited about this.
I put a bunch of plays in there this week. I just felt like there were a lot that we needed.
Yeah, you wanted to make me work. Last week was a bye week. We kind of shot the bull. You said, all right, we're going to double down here. No,
that's right.
It's all good stuff.
Well, I will give you something. At least you show up, unlike Flint. You can't count on him on Fridays anymore.
That's
so.
fired.
Yeah. Oh, I blew the doors off him all day on Saturday. I just embarrassed him every chance I got. Pat, before we get into the film and stuff like that, though, A&M has a really good football team. Shane had laid out a lot of the numbers going into the game. The fact that they were the highest scoring offense in the league when it came to SEC v. SEC. They've kind of gone back and forth with the quarterbacks this year. They elected to go straight to Marcel Reed. They were going to stick with him.
He's a stud. Game. Like, he's good.
Very good. Yeah, I really like him a lot. I think he's going to win them a lot of games down the road. But it's in the second half, it became when Carolina came out, you could tell they went into halftime and it was like, all right, we prepared for both, but this is the guy and here's what we're going to do. So what changes now that you've seen the game? Or what did you see that maybe they did a little bit differently? Maybe they weren't changes. Maybe it was just more focused in other areas. But in the second half, it was night and day. They could not move the football against the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is like coming out, we ended up scoring on our first drive in the second half, which put a little pressure on them. And then they went for. I mean, I think A&M's not used to playing from behind either. So they kind of felt the pressure. They went for it on 4th down at the 35-yard line, 40-yard line in minus territory and didn't get it. And then we're up 2 scores. And just when you're up 2 scores, there's a lot of like peace and confidence in it when you're the one up 2 scores. When you're down 2 scores, you kind of get in a little bit of panic mode. You got to make shit happen, got to make it happen fast. So I think they started stressing a little bit. And I mean, I would say our defense kind of puts everybody in panic mode. Our defense is phenomenal. Did really good in short yardage situations on Saturday. I mean, we stopped them several times in short yardage situations and put pressure on the quarterback. mean, the Reed kid made some really good throws in the first half and even down the stretch in the second half. Made one really dumb throw to OD. But that was part of kind of being pressured and feeling like you needed to make a play. So it was, on all accounts, Carolina played a really good football game. Lenore's played, I think, his best, most composed game of the year. Rocket Sanders showed that he's one of the best backs in the SEC. The offensive line played well. Obviously we had our will kind of running the ball, which was weird because both of these run defenses were pretty good. And A&M, we dented them like all game. So no, I was pleasantly surprised. I knew it was kind of going to be one of those closer games, coin flips. It was a good matchup on both sides, and the good guys came out on top.
Yeah, we'll see some of this in the plays that we're going to show, but Lenoris, it seemed like a lot of those runs that were designed for him, off tackle, outside, he was getting into that a lot quicker than we've seen. What is that? Did it look like just a design quarterback run, or did they maybe give him, hey, one pre-snap read, and if it's not there, it turns into this? Can you give us some insight into those things or no?
I think there was a good blend. I think some of them were like built-in quarterback runs off action. What I realized watching the tape and some of the stuff that you sent was A&M bumped a lot, or like they kind of told you what the story was with motion. So, and I know Dow, as detailed as he is, if he got a look and he knew the corners were running or if they were bumping like that, they got the look they wanted and they were able to dial it up. So I think it was probably 50-50. Half of it was true quarterback run game, and then half of it was kind of zone read stuff. But, I mean, shoot, some of the stuff he did in the pocket, I mean, we did give up 0 sacks, but Lenoris was pressured a lot. He got hit a lot, bounced off of stuff. I mean, it kind of reminded me, and if anybody tuned into Lenoris's podcast that we did last week, he emulates his game after Cam Newton. And there were some Cam Newton type plays where I remember SEC championship game, Tony Stroud or Antonio Allen, one of the two runs, Scott free right down the middle, hit Cam right in the back. And he just like, oh, but what bug just bit me, and just kind of took off. And it was kind of the same essence with Lenoris back there. He made a lot of really good plays with his feet, had good pocket presence, was able to escape, break some tackles, drop his shoulder on somebody, which was good to see. I mean, he slid early in the game like a half a yard short, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're 250, dude. Just fall forward. But he looked composed. He looked confident. If we get this Lenore Sellers for the next 4 games, I think we're going to be happy campers, guys.
Yeah, well, he thought about going down on the Gamecocks sideline, and then he decided, yeah, you know what?
Stephen Garcia was in his ear. Stephen Garcia basically called him a you know what, and it challenged him a little bit.
Yeah, well, he would have heard that and more had he slid a yard or two short on the Gamecocks sideline over there. That was something that was pretty neat to see. All right, we'll go to the tape now and get into the quote film room and talk some ball with the great Pat DiMarco. I think we've got 8 plays this week, Pat. Offense and defense. Obviously, it was quite the night under the lights at Williams-Brice Stadium. The atmosphere was just absolutely amazing. Here's Sellers early in the game, touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. You see the receiver kind of bump across. It pulls 2 guys out of the box. And I've said this once. I've said it 100 times. Football is about numbers and then knowing where your best players are. And here you go. When he goes over, I mean, we have an extra player. We have 5 blockers and they have 5 defenders on that side, and 1 guy is going to hold the ball. So 6 on 5. Who do you think is going to win that battle? As long as guys take good landmarks, and Josh Simon and Josiah Thompson did a great job here. If you want to get really in detail, this freaking tray block by Nick Harbor and Mazio Bennett, a tray block is usually a tackle and a tight end. We got 2 receivers on a tray block working up the play side backer. The play side backer shoots, and Rashawn's able to grab a hold of him in the hole. So, I mean, they're traying to nobody. They're traying to air. And it's a good sign when you have a double team that isn't working to somebody and everybody else is accounted for. Easy touchdown, great play call. I mean, just like that, that's how you draw it up. I'm sure that's how they installed it. That's the look they got several times in practice, and they went out and executed.
That put Carolina up 7-0. And then Pat, fourth and short here, Marcel Reed, 180 pounds, wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. Like an internal surge of, I mean, TJ Sanders is getting like really good draft grades on some of this early stuff that I'm seeing, late first, early second type stuff. And I mean, to basically dent the defense right here, him and Tonka just basically, you see the interior three fall back with two guys, and then Knight going over the top, Nicky getting involved.
What's the key there? Phil, if you can back that up, I want to get him to explain this one more time. What is the key to stopping short yardage situations? You see them get low like that, and the linebackers come over the top. Can you give us some football chat on that?
Yeah, I mean, so Sterling Lucas, phenomenal defensive ends coach. Traven Robertson, phenomenal defensive line coach. They both played the position, so they understand it. But like your get off is just as important on a run play as it is in a pass play. So first man to make contact generally is going to win each of these plays. So you watch the defensive line, they're firing off the ball. They initiate contact. You see the internal three right there, like literally just eat two heads of Carolina players right in their chest. And they're just nowhere to go. And I mean, D Knight does a great job coming over the top, gets a hold of them, kind of stalemates them. And yeah, you got to be different if you had Josh Allen or Jalen Hurst or something like there, but you got a 180-pound quarterback on a quarterback sneak. But I mean, I say that I would rather in a third and short situation or fourth and short situation have the quarterback underneath all day, every day, twice on Saturdays. But a lot of teams are going in the gun, and under center didn't work this play, and later on we'll see that the gun did not work either. It just wasn't the day for short yardage for the Aggies.
After the stop there, Carolina able to go up 14-0 on this play from Sellers to Simon, his first touchdown of the night.
Yeah, I mean this is a universal play. This is a different way to do it, but this is a tight end leak. So you're basically trying to hide your tight end. So they're doing tight zone action. Josh Simon comes down and tries to lull the defense to sleep. I mean, his biggest coaching point is, dude, make sure you don't get grabbed. Make sure you get out here. So you see him there on the edge. He's going to come down on the defensive end and just kind of get in his way, butt him up, slow, and then leak out. That safety actually does a good job of not losing kind of his thought process on the play, but Josh just runs right by him. I mean, Josh is a freak of an athlete. He's going to be playing on Sundays. But Josh does a good job just navigating his way through there, not getting held up, and then just uses his speed to run past the guy. And Lenore's, has pressure in his face, but trusts that Josh is going to be there and puts a great ball. This is another great play call. I mean, it's kind of based off a little triple action, and then you always roll the quarterback away from where the leak is happening. And one of the big coaching points here, because we ran this a bunch when I was with Kyle Shanahan, we ran the wide zone scheme. We ran this more in the wide zone world, is like usually when you run keeper
Pause
game.
Pause that, Phil.
Usually when you run keeper game where the quarterback's rolling out away, the running back's usually always on a wheel to try to pull the corner, linebacker, safety, just to pull people over there. He cannot run a wheel here because there's a leak coming, so he stays in the flat. So if this is a big zone and the corner ends up bailing and sitting back, Rocket Sanders is sitting in the flat. So, I mean, they're in man here, so different story. But, I mean, Josh Simon just makes a heck of a play.
Well, that was my question right there. 76, that's Simpkins. You had the two guys that would have had a free shot on Sellers had he not gotten rid of the football, obviously. Did somebody whiff there? Wait, what is that designed like that? What happened there?
No, Josiah's supposed to stab down, and, I mean, he's protecting the B gap. Now, two off the edge makes us problematic. So, I mean, Josiah should see that there's nobody in the B gap and should retreat back outside and try to grab a hold. But,
okay.
He's a freshman.
Basically, he saw that late and was like, oh, blank.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to, like, if there's ever too hot off the edge, you always, as a blocker, you always want to take the most dangerous, the shortest line. So take the inside guy. So I think he saw that guy trigger, and he's probably pulling for the outside guy. And he's like, oh, shoot, there's a guy inside and, doesn't block either, but touchdown Gamecocks.
Well, worked out. Carolina went up 14-0 on that play there. Josh Simon had his best game as a maybe the best game of his collegiate career. As you mentioned, he is going to be playing in the NFL down the road here. All right, here's another big one. Rocket Sanders takes off. Pretty simple. Gone. Touchdown.
Yep. This is where I started to get kind of sleepy, guys. After this one, I was really excited. And after it, I got a little sleepy. So here, I say it all day, every day. Run game's all about getting one guy out of gap, getting somebody out of gap on defense. Defense, it's all gap integrity. And in short yardage situations, Bobby Turner, my running backs coach in Atlanta, who's still coaching, he's like 95 years old. I'm just kidding. He's probably lower 80s. But he would always say, short yardage situations, first downs, then touchdowns. So make sure you secure the first down, and then there's nobody else back there. So here you go. This is just a simple tight zone run here. Zero, the backer goes to run through, and the safety's playing off of him. Well, zero goes to run through, and he runs into Rashawn, and he's supposed to be in the A gap, he's supposed to be in the A gap, and he kind of peeks backside because Rocket did a great job here of pressing the line of scrimmage. So, any success in the run game is you press line of scrimmage, make the defense tell you what you're going to do. So here you go. 3 triggers, zero has the backside A gap and peaks in the front side A gap, and Rocket dips in, dips out, and then the rest is history. There's nobody left besides all the fans there in the end zone. Yeah, nice. You see him peek right there. Rashawn does a good job of just taking him where he is.
Yeah.
And the rest is just number 5 is a gifted player.
Yeah, he is something. Talk about the NFL. He's headed that way as well. We get another one here.
This is where I got really sleepy, guys, after this play.
Well, if you don't mind, don't fall asleep during this segment.
Yeah, we have 9 guys in the box.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you're supposed to play short yardage. You have 9 guys in the box, and you basically say, hey, if you want to throw it over my head, we got one-on-one outside. I trust my DBs. Here, Debo is just being Debo. He's just a downhill thumper, and he fills the gap, triggers fast, and this is a pretty simple scheme. This is just a tight zone with a slicer coming back. They have nobody working to the backside linebacker, which is, we have 9 guys in the box. They have 6 to block. It's just not good numbers for them. But Debo does a good job firing, taking a shot. This is in this situation, you can't go base up there. You have to just go. He does a good job hitting them low and kind of stalemating them. And just, being in the shotgun on 4th and 1, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Spoken like a fullback, for sure.
Yeah. All right, here you go. Sorry, Phil, I got to do it. My guy, O'Donnell Fortune, is playing like an All-American.
Yeah, but it helps him here is the actual, probably eventual All-American is
Dylan Stewart
breathing down the tight end's face. Is that Dylan or is that Kennard? I thought it was Kennard.
I thought that was Dylan on that. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Hold on, let's see. It should loop back around.
Whoever it is, whoever the freak that makes that play, that's Kennard.
Yeah, that's Kennard. Yeah.
Yeah, he olays the tight end. Tight end goes to block down. He olays him. Tight end's like, oh shit, I didn't block anybody. And Kennard's right in his face. And this is a 3rd down. No, this is 2nd down situation.
Go back.
And he just kind of spits it out there. And man, OD, put on some white cleats. Every slow guy knows white cleats make you look faster. They do. It's just facts. Us slow guys out there, we wear white cleats, not because they look good, because they make us look faster, but also they blend in with the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
As close as he is to not stepping out, if he has white cleats, I don't know if he gets the call here.
That might have been his third touchdown of the year, maybe. I think he's had, what, 2 called back?
That was what we would call in the NFL a rookie mistake.
He's going to the NFL.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't have many rookie mistakes in the NFL.
Love this play here, Pat. Been wanting to see this a lot this year. This is just designed and executed beautifully.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was designed beautifully.
Or executed beautifully. Excuse me.
Executed beautifully. I mean, you look here, and the first thing that popped up was like Nick Harbor on a shallow cross is wide open. I mean, if Lenorse doesn't have pressure on the backside, he hits Nick Harbor, and Nick Harbor is running. What does he run? 10-1 or 9-8 or something like that, right down your throat. I mean, he's wide open right there in the middle of the field. But pressure in his face, he goes to abort and does a good job with his pocket presence. Rocket's on a burst route. We always burst away from where we come from, so no pressure. Rocket goes to release on his route and goes to burst out the backside. And Lenorse kind of, what you're always told is go where the quarterback rolls. And him as the first line of defense is told to run flat. I had no clue why. I almost, because I was asleep at this point on Saturday, I had to go back and look to make, like, I was like, dang, that must be in a 4-minute situation where that he doesn't want to go out of bounds. There's 10.5 minutes on the clock left, or 11 minutes on the clock left here. Trust your speed, Rocket. Don't get cute. Go take off. I mean, he had 2 yards on the guy. I don't know why he slowed down. Would love to see a foot race right there.
Phil, go back to that play. Right there. I was okay. Yeah, restart the play. I think they missed a false start there.
Josiah moved early. He also moved early on the first play of the game, or the first touchdown of the game. He was a little early on Lenorse's touchdown run because he was pulling. That was like a Q39 truck is what we would have called that in the NFL. But
it's false start.
Hey, we had enough calls kick us in the ass in the LSU game that it's finally time for us to get a little mojo back.
That's a good point. And that
trade a couple of not called false starts for not called holds on defense is what
yes, that too.
It's a trade. Yeah.
That's a good point. Good point. And then finally here we've got the 8th play. This is the touchdown to Josh Simon, who really made it all work after the ball got into his hands here.
Yeah, I mean, like we this game's not over at this point. I mean, like I said, I was long asleep, but this game was not over at this point. It was 30-20 with a little under 3.5 minutes to go, and it was 2nd and 12. Honestly, it should be 3rd and 11 because you should have gained 1 here when this guy, both hands around his waist. Josh Simon just makes a great play and tough as hell and goes and does something special. But just a simple tight zone slice, bluff the backside defensive end concept. And, Josh just makes a special play here. And like I said, this is why he will be playing on Sundays. Like this.
Couple things here. One, stop there, Phil. 20. That's okay. That's all right. Let it play. Watch 22 here off the edge here. The fake to Rocky.
He's in no man's land.
Yeah. Wow. And then
I was always taught on this play. I did this a lot in the NFL. Was you're always supposed to cross face of that defensive end. You're always supposed to give yourself an angle for the pass. I mean, Josh decides to dip underneath, which if you cross his face, you make him stop his feet and kind of give the quarterback a chance to get the ball off. The guy stops his feet and is staring at something. I don't know what he's staring at. But Lenorse does a good job just putting the ball on him. And then, this is just Josh Simon making a heck of a play.
That play right there, okay, busting out of that tackle and running down the sideline there. I'm not exactly sure what they clocked him at for speed and all that, this, that, and the other. What are he's 6'4.5", I think, almost 6'5", around
250, 245.
Yeah, I think he's a little heavier than that now, Pat. I think he's around 260. But but either way, what are NFL scouts seeing right there? This guy, what?
Yeah, I mean, he's
from a prospect.
He's improved his blocking dramatically this year, which has been really cool to see. We always knew. I mean, we knew when he came from Western Kentucky that he could catch the ball. He was a receiving tight end then, but now he's putting his hand in the ground. He's doing a good job of digging out the C gap, sealing the edge. I mean, we've looked at plays before earlier this year of him one-on-one with the defensive end in pass protection where he's locked him up. So he's just a very well-rounded, balanced player. He's played a bunch of football. Is this year 5 or year 6 for him? Let's just say year 5. So he's played a bunch of football. He's savvy, but I mean, as you can like you said, he's 6'4.5", 260 pounds. Corner. If you're going to try to make a play, you better hold on for your life, because if you just do that weak stuff, he's going to be running right through you. So, no, this was JB. Great plays. You teed me up.
We didn't have you yesterday. I figured that you just were excited to talk today. I
wanted to watch the game too. This is the first time watching something.
You don't mind if you check out the Vandy game this week, and we're going to do this again next Monday.
Hey, there's 45 kicks before young kids. It's tough.
Especially when you start drinking beer at 11 in the morning, like y'all were over there at the brewery.
Yeah. My wife was like, "What happened to you?" when I got home.
Pat, as a former offensive player, and we'll let you run on this note. And there's 4 games left in the season, probably most likely I would say 5 with a bowl game. The Gamecocks defense, I just think that it's appropriate to continue to give these guys the pats on the back and all those things, but also talk about their futures. When I look at the guys that are leaving, at the end of the year, O'Donnell and most likely Nick Eman-Wari, let's all be honest, right? And Demetrius Knight and Debo Williams, Kyle Kennard, TJ, Boogie, Tonka up front. I mean, those are the guys that are certainly sticking out right now. I don't see a scenario where not every single one of those guys has an opportunity to play in the NFL. Do they all go in the draft? I don't know the answer. I'm venturing a guess that quite a few of them are going to.
Yeah,
but they just all look to me from a development standpoint. And what do I know, Pat? But that's why I'm asking you. You're the NFL guy. From a development standpoint, the character that all of them have, and the fact that they're just really talented football players, that group there has a chance to really carry the torch for South Carolina, who's put a ton of guys on that side of the ball in the league.
Yeah, I mean, when we were at the Steel Hands Distillery down there in the new location down in the Vista, I asked Melvin and DJ, who we both did podcasts with, about the defense, and I was like, guys, like this is a group with a bunch of dudes on it. We went through, I want to say 9 of the 11 during the 2011 or 2010 or 2011 season played in the NFL. 9 of 11 starters on the defense played in the NFL. This is a group that was probably going to be pretty similar. I don't know if they will have that high draft picks. I mean, there was 2 first rounders coming out in 11 in Melvin and DJ, or Melvin and Stephon. I mean, DJ ended up being a second rounder. So 3 guys in the first 2 rounds on that defense. I mean, I would imagine this. I mean, when you brought that up, like coming back, we got DQ, Bam, Dillon, and Judge are going to be the 4, like, not shoe-in starters because nobody is guaranteed a job, but those are the guys that are probably going to be coming back. That have been playing significant snaps so far on the defense. So that's 7 guys.
Yeah, those guys they're really, really freaking good. I think they're going to be a tough matchup for Diego Pavia.
I think most of them have a COVID year, right? Don't they get a free year out of this? Like,
they've all gotten this. Yeah, all these dudes have been through that already, though. Remember, Pat, COVID was 5 seasons ago.
Yeah,
we're getting old, man.
6.
Man, we're getting old. We're getting old.
Somebody offered me one of these other SEC teams called me and said, "Don't you have a COVID year left?" 3 years ago. I had to turn that down. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know if your body can sustain it now. All the weight you've lost, you might be. I don't know. You're looking more like a kicker than a fullback these days.
Oh, I appreciate that, JB, with his condescending and the remark you're making right there.
Hey, think about Ryan Suckup.
Just wait till I see you in 2 weeks of the Letterman's golf tournament. I'll let you know I didn't play kicker.
Think about Ryan Suckup. Ryan's a kicker. He's the biggest dude. He's a freak.
I'll remember it. I keep receipts.
I just taking the NIL money and ran there, Pat. You just you get the check, you stay on roster, you get hurt, in preseason, and you don't have to be seen on the field, but you get to keep the money,
just like Juice Wells. Absolutely.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah, you go ahead. All
right. One other quick note here: we already mentioned Shane being named the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Week, and Dylan being the Freshman of the Week. Also, Lenore Sellers and Jackson Dart, co-quarterbacks of the week, presented by the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Awards. So that's pretty cool. Bunch of awards coming in this week for the Gamecocks, in addition to those players of the week that were announced yesterday.
How about freaking Vandy in the top 25 going into this week? Like, this is a matchup that,
I think so that
going into season.
Yeah, but that ranking yesterday is going to be squashed once the rankings come out tonight. You won't even be looking at the AP anymore. So I actually think that both Vandy and Carolina tonight are going to be in the college football playoff rankings. I think they're going to be like 24, 25.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Josh Pate said it yesterday, and he's right. You cannot convince me that there are 25 football teams better than South Carolina.
I agree.
They're not. There are some that are better, not 25 of them. This team is really good. They've had their heart broken twice. Had one of those heartbreaks gone their way like it should have, they'd be tonight knocking on the door of the top 12. I mean, I'm not just saying that. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really good. And I think they're going to continue to prove it. Pat, who are you going to release tomorrow on Tailgate Talks?
We are releasing Two Spoon Swagoo.
Ooh.
DJ. Yeah.
Did the Arkansas game come up where he had 45 yards and penalties in about 15 seconds?
Yep. We talked about that. We talked about him hitting Andre Ellington. We talked about him picking off the long snapper snap pregame. We talked about all the chaotic moments, which there were several of them for DJ Swearinger. We talked about the grind flu.
Oh.
So everyone who's listening, make sure you go check it out. You'll get it on wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Then you can also listen on the app. And then also, if you want to see the video content-wise, make sure that you have Gamecock Plus subscription, so you can see Stephen and I's ugly mugs over at Steel Hands Distillery down in the Vista.
Yeah. Stephen had a nice long weekend. If you have not subscribed to Gamecocks Plus, we highly encourage you to do that. If you pull up our Chief Sports app, there's a link in their section, the Tailgate Talk section. You can subscribe right there. And, of course, listen and check out all the great partners of their programming and ours as well. And the very, very valuable Chief Sports app. Many of you, if you come to our tailgate party next week over at TLC, Pat's going to stop by for a little bit. Y'all can take some pictures and get $50 autographs and stuff like that. I'm just kidding.
What? The NIL what? Keep talking.
What?
Keep
Yeah,
talking.
That's right. Hold on. Yeah, that's right.
Steven's the only one who charges for autographs. The DiMarcos do not.
I give high fives.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. Hey, man, great stuff as always. Really, really appreciate it. Can't wait to listen to you, Steven, and DJ tomorrow morning.
Yep, of course. See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. Pat. There you go. My good buddy, the great Pat DiMarco, one of the best representatives in the history of Gamecock football for the Garnet and Black. It's 12:37. We got to hit a timeout. We're powered by our dear friends at Electric Bikes of Charleston, electricbikescharleston.com. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
If you're a fan of music, incredible storytelling,
one of our friends had met this beautiful girl at the bar that night.
a bit of history, you should check out my new show, Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis. Every episode features a unique South Carolina town, a different stage, and music from world-class singer-songwriters. Join me for Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, in Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Gamecock owned and operated. Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com.
It's time for Fill in the Blank on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Presented by Right to Bear Self-Defense Coverage. Visit protectwithbear.com to become a member today. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
12:41. Remember, today is election day. Protectwithbear.com. Protectwithbear.com. Protect your family for as low as $15.41 per month. Right to Bear. Self-defense coverage, training, education, and beyond. It is one of the coolest business models I've ever seen. It's what makes America great. Seriously. Head to protectwithbear.com. I promise you've never seen anything like it. Over 50,000 members right now feel much more comfortable in their own skin because of Right to Bear. All right, I want to play some fill in the blank. Thanks to Pat for joining us. It was a good film session there.
That was good. That was good. Was glad to see you got those to him in enough time for him to be able to speak intelligently on them. He did so well that had he not said he fell asleep during the game, nobody would have ever known.
Well, you know, there's just some things you don't like say when it comes to being in the media. Like, hey, I buy my mics from IKEA, or I didn't watch the game. Those are no-nos.
I did buy this from IKEA, but if I did, the damn thing wouldn't work.
That's right. Yeah, it'd still be sitting there in pieces.
Some things you just don't talk about. I worked for a guy at ESPN who told me one time, he said, you're on the radio. They can't see you. If the building is on fire, you act like everything's fine. I was like, okay, it was the best advice I ever got. Don't talk about technical issues. Don't talk about that. Just act like everything's cool. He was right. He was wrong about a lot of things, but he was right about that. All right. Fill in the blank. PH style.
That's right.
Mad Dog. Mad Dog Mully, as they sang in a great chart topper. We'll start with Schubert. This is college football playoff ranking style. Okay. Schubert. Blank. This is looking for a number here. A number. Okay. blank SEC teams will be in tonight's top 12. Now, don't get ahead of yourself. We'll get there. Tonight's top 12. Blank SEC teams will be in tonight's top 12.
I'm going to go with 5.
Really? Ooh, that's a lot. Okay, so Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and who else?
Bama and either LSU or Ole Miss.
Okay. Well, you are confident.
I mean, Clemson and A&M losing last week helps that. I mean,
yeah.
Because if Clemson had beaten Louisville, they'd be like, well, they're back, folks. Schedule be damned.
A&M, I mean, okay. So you think Ole Miss would get in over A&M?
Yeah, recency bias.
Yeah, but
and preseason perception, which also plays a factor in these people's minds. I mean, their thought process is going to go like this: Ole Miss just hung 63 on Arkansas, and Tennessee, who in everybody's mind is supposed to be this powered offense, and it's not. It's just kind of a run the ball kind of offense this year. They held Tennessee to 14, and Ole Miss they're just playing so well right now. And Texas A&M, but that was just a disappointment, just a disappointment, and I don't know how good LSU is. They were lucky to beat Ole Miss. I just don't know how good they are. Think about it. I mean, this is the conversations these geniuses are having. So yeah, that's my prediction. Hopefully I'm wrong, because do I think it's fair? Is that what I would have done? No. Dabo Swinney was denied his ability to vote today. Not a joke.
I know. They apparently his son voted. They have the same name. I don't know, man. I think that I will say this. Ole Miss and LSU sitting there at 6-2. Ole Miss sitting there at 7-2. One of the things that's not being talked about right now is their road win in Columbia. That is looking better and better and better, especially after what Carolina did to A&M on Saturday night. That made LSU and Ole Miss, especially Ole Miss, to your point, JC, it made Ole Miss's road victory in Williams-Brice Stadium, 27-3, look pretty good.
I mean, Ole Miss has the most impressive game against Carolina all year. I mean, LSU. The good thing about the reaction to that game is the entire country knows Carolina got robbed. I mean, it wasn't like, Gamecock fans are griping.
No. Yeah, right.
It was like they were robbed. And then, Bama, it came right down to the, they had the ball with an onside kick. I mean, one complete pass, and they could have gotten in Herrera's range and won the game. I mean, so... then you look at what Ole Miss did to them. So that's, you get it. You get it when you give Ole Miss probably gets a lot of credit for that win now. Then you look what they did to Arkansas. Still, though, I mean, the loss to Kentucky, loss to LSU. We're going to learn a lot more about Ole Miss against Georgia, I think, because that's their next shot at like one of the quote unquote favorites in the league. But, their win at Carolina certainly is impressive.
Phil, what you got?
I like 4.
Yeah,
I like 4.
I got 4. Hey, y'all realize BYU is going to be in the top 4 tonight. Y'all realize that?
No, because the rankings don't have to reflect the seeding. So it could be pure.
That's a good point.
It should be. Yeah, that's because I've heard a couple of explanations in this, and that the committee is not going to pick the current top 4 from the current.
Should give you the 12. Yeah, but they're going to have to give some version of what seeding would look like. So here are 12, and then this is what the seeding.
Oh yeah, they'll be BYU will be, and then because it's the top 4 highest ranked conference champs. So
yes,
who's Oregon, in first place? Oregon, Georgia,
BYU.
Miami, BYU.
Yeah. Okay. So they'll give you the top 12, and then they'll give you they'll give you the top 25, but then they'll give you the seeding.
Yeah.
Okay.
This week. Yeah. What it would look like if it were to start next week. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm with you. I think it's 4. And who's the 4th? I don't know. I'm gonna say that the 4th is going to be Alabama because they beat Georgia. But I don't know. But I'm gonna go 4. I just don't think they're gonna get 5 in the top 12.
So you think Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Bama? All right.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, definitely there's top 3, but I'll go with Bama for
fair enough.
Hey, there is a really, really high probability that everybody in the league this year in the SEC finishes with multiple losses. Just so everybody's aware. I mean, this could get really, really screwy.
That's why if you're South Carolina, you just keep winning, man.
Yeah, just stay the course because chaos helps you. Yeah, chaos helps you.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, all right. On that note, then, Mad Dog, blank SEC teams will be in the top 25 tonight. Not 12, 25.
Let's see. Well, we said 4 in the 12. And there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what? If the committee's got any cojones and does this the right way,
I know where you're going.
There will be 9 in the top 25.
Well,
because here's the thing.
Maybe even 10.
Yeah, and it could, but at least 9. At least 9. Because when you look at the bottom of this, I don't know. Carolina's got a defense that can compete with any team in the nation, but Carolina has a team that I think would beat. I don't know.
I mean, look, if you want to go by like these are the playoff rankings. Are you telling me Missouri is closer to a playoff bid than Carolina? I don't think so.
No, see, because that's the one I'd leave out. Yeah, that's who I would leave
They got more votes though. No, they stayed in the poll.
Which
the AP poll, and I'm like, all right, bro,
Yeah. Well, they fell out this weekend, but they are 26. Like okay. Here's what's crazy.
They've been outscored in their last 2 SEC losses, 74-10.
Missouri 81, South Carolina 58. That's 26 and 27 in this week's AP. Why do we even? I can't.
They don't even matter anymore.
I'm going to put together like a 90-second rant on this. By
rest
the way.
of the media
on YouTube tonight.
It's ridiculous. I think they're honest to God, JB. To answer your question, I'm gonna say 9. Because there will be there will be somebody that they don't include. Just because any poll, 10 is an awful lot. I mean, that's almost half of the dang whole thing. So there are 10 that deserve it. LSU, Carolina, Missouri, Vandy, A&M, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia are all top 25 teams in this country. But, I guess it just kind of depends on their way of thinking. That's what I'm curious to see about the poll is, have things changed? Or do these guys, all of this committee, still think it's the BCS era? Because that's the way they've kind of picked the playoff, with the exception of, oh crap, Greg Sankey's going to get mad at us, so we're going to put Bama in. We're going to make that one. They made an exception the first year when they put Ohio State in, and they made an exception last year when they put Bama in. And when I say exception, I'm not saying Bama didn't deserve it, because I think Bama was much better than Florida State at the end of the day. But most years they go with that. If you're undefeated, they're ooh. I mean, think about those bad Notre Dame teams they got in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Clemson, the one year they were number 1 and undefeated, that was their worst team during their run in 17. Bama whipped their butt. I mean, they have seeded things and valued things like AP pollsters. But with a 12-team playoff, it gets a little more dicey, so maybe that's changed.
Yeah, it's such a we're having all these conversations, but and they're weird because we've never been able to have them before. The 12-team playoff kind of leads the final fill in the blank here. How about this, JC? The top 4 teams in the rankings tonight will be.
Oh God.
Ooh.
All right. So Oregon's going to be number 1. I'm pretty sure.
I'm positive. 100%.
And they should be.
I think Georgia's a safe bet to pencil in at 2. I think Ohio State.
This is where it gets,
will be penciled in at 3.
But man, really?
I mean, that win at Penn State was big, and they lost because of a stupid mistake. And a penalty that's no longer a penalty that they changed. Because, I mean, there was no quality control with the rule book this year. They freaking, by 1 point at Oregon, who many feel is the best team in the country. So, and I'm going to go just kind of I'm trying to read their mind. I'm going to go with Texas at 4.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. We're getting there now. That's what I'm talking about. I think that people are going to be glossed over by Miami's 9-0 record, but you got to get deeper. You've got to get deeper. I mean, you look at the numbers defensively, it has not been good for the Hurricanes, and they haven't played anybody. I don't think Miami's a top 5 team. I think you can argue how good their offense is, and that's fine. But you put them in a league with all these defenses that the Southeastern Conference puts out on the field, they ain't sitting there 9-0. I promise you that. Not giving up 38, 40 points per game like they've been doing the last month.
The Atlantic Coast Conference handed them a win, too, on Friday night. And you look, man, they're like, well.
Yeah.
Their explanation was ridiculous. They were like, well, the call on the field was just at that moment he was. I'm like, it should not have taken you that long to see that. It took 10 minutes worth of conversation, which means whoever's up there and wherever the hell their stupid conference is located now, somewhere in North Carolina, I'm sure. It took somebody calling somebody and then getting somebody on the phone and getting somebody who's at dinner with his wife or out for drinks with his buddies to take a cell phone call after a series of texts and then a long conversation, relatively speaking, because they didn't come back with, oh, okay, we're wrong, it's overturned. I mean, there was not enough evidence to overturn it. I agree. The initial call it should not have been a touchdown, but the replay showed no evidence that they should have done it. But the reason they did it, because what they're sitting there thinking is, oh my God, Miami was our hope this year, and the Hokies have already lost 2. Nah, give them another one. We need Miami to. And then Cal almost beat them the next week when game day was out in Berkeley. It took a miracle comeback. So, yeah, Duke kind of, with their former coach Manny Diaz, came down there and did. I mean, they are a good team. Offensively, they're not a great team. Defensively,
we're basically out of time, but we'll come back to this. I think if you ask these questions a little bit differently, and I've got it jotted down. Who has the most impressive resume? That is a really difficult question to answer.
I think it's, with Boise State going off like they have and having the Heisman Trophy winner, that win Oregon had over them looks a little better. I mean, but the Ducks, they've had, sure, they're crisscrossing the country and winning, but have they really had a challenge?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Look, every record of all these top teams has some question marks.
They beat a top 20 Illinois, but Illinois turned around and lost to the Golden Gophers the next week.
Yeah.
I mean, see, that's what I always say about the Big Ten. One of these things is not like the other. Everybody says Big Ten, SEC, Big Ten, SEC. It's not. Ohio State is, Oregon maybe, Michigan some years is a pain in the butt. The rest of that league, compared to the rest of the SEC.
That was a lot.
Well, it's a big conference now, Jamie.
That's true. Yeah, you gotta give it the extra length there.
It goes from coast to coast, brother.
Coast to coast.
No, that was a lot. There's a lot going on there. Man, it's not over. Still going. Oh,
somebody had.
He's out of breath.
That's like a Dumb and Dumber when it's like Turbolax for fast, effective relief.
Yeah.
I'm shaving. I'm shaving.
All right, we'll hit a break. We've got some stuff to get to from the reporting or the desk, if you will, of John Whittle. We'll talk bowls, and you can fill up the Nana's Porch chat box with your questions. JC and Phil will answer those when we return on ITG.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Ah, the summer solstice, when the ho-hum of the everyday is replaced by an overwhelming sense of freedom. A time for living, for rolling the windows down, cranking up the tunes, and blazing new trails. Now is your time. And Love Chevy is celebrating with incredible summer savings on the entire lineup of award-winning new Chevys. Unprecedented savings right now on the ride of your dreams. Love has them all, primed and fully equipped for your next adventure. And right now at the lowest prices of the year. The best prices anywhere, in fact. Love guarantees it. The others are still saying anything to lure you in and let you down. With the same old gimmicks and ridiculous add-ons. Love is different. Over 6 decades of honesty and integrity, and the long-standing belief that car buying should actually be a whole bunch of fun. Now is your time at Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
The electric grid that had been placed under Lambeau
so that the field would never freeze.
Those two things are all the NCAA has. That's all they have. They're not worth anything without the men's basketball tournament and now the women's tournament.
Listen to these interviews and more on the JC and Morgan podcast by downloading the Chief Sports app. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cards while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Cathedral bells ringing down cobblestone Charleston streets. She's the morning sun rising on the horseshoe at USC. She's moonlight on blacker water, a John Deere down a Greer farm road, moving nice and slow. No, there ain't nothing like her. She's a southern one of a kind. Even in my dreams I still find her. She's like an old friend awaiting when I close my eyes. And how lucky I am to call her mine. No, you'll never find another like my Carolina. My Carolina. Talking about my Carolina. Talking about my Carolina. My Carolina. South Carolina. South Carolina.
Welcome back in, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. It's the final hour on Tuesday. JB is out on assignment here, monitoring Shane Beamer's press conference. And, of course, we are brought to you by the South Carolina Education Lottery. The Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket is back, giving you a chance to win up to $200,000, all while supporting future Gamecocks across the state. After you play, enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion, where you can level the playing field with another chance to win $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 live at an upcoming women's basketball game. See sceducationlottery.com for game odds and details. It's interesting, the AP situation. Why do we continue to do this? It's like this holdover from, days gone by, back when, you know what it's like to me. And since it's election season, this is pretty apropos. Who is swayed by a newspaper anymore endorsing a candidate? It's crazy. It's the exact same thing. These AP voters from
same,
these random,
same
you know,
concept.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just this is the feeling that we have. This feeling of what 60 some people who I don't even know if they're, you know, they can't watch all the games. You know, they're not watching all the games because of the way they rank these damn teams.
It's weird, man. And look, I know some people that are AV voters that are good people that do a good, I think, do a good job covering the sport. I mean, I when I mention the media, I mean like in general.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
in general, the overall like self-importance of it and all that, you know, and then the playoff poll doesn't come out until now, which is intentional.
Yeah.
Because it, you know, the AP and then the coaches poll is worse because we all know coaches aren't really filling those out.
Yeah.
It's a director of ops or something like that. And so, you know, they kind of have their teams, and then if somebody doesn't lose that's ranked ahead of you, you don't jump unless you do something like fantastic.
Right.
You know, that team could beat a bunch of scrub teams by 2 points, and then you could beat the crap out of same scrub teams, and then or even beat half your teams you've beaten are pretty decent. But then unless you go on the road and beat Texas or or one of the blue bloods but badly, you're not jumping that team. No. Because and it gets back to this whole thing I talk about with recruiting rankings. Nobody wants to be wrong. And so it's very hard to move up and to evaluate a team or to give a team a true evaluation in the moment. What I would do, I mean, and look, TV and all that, they have to have the AP top 25. And we do need that. It serves its purpose up until today, much like the political polls and things like that. It serves its purpose up until today because they have to have something to say. All right, today's game's a big game. It's number 8 versus number 10. Or, I mean, we have that. Same way in basketball. That's primarily just to indicate, hey, this is a big team. And then coaches build resumes. Oh, they've beaten ranked teams. Mike said the other day about Beamer. Beamer's has 3 top 10 wins at South Carolina in, 3 years and 3 and I guess there's 4 games left. So we're what?
3 and 2/3.
3 and 2/3 seasons.
3 and 2/3. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
not
is
bad.
Definitely more than Muschamp. I'm pretty sure it was much more than Steve Spurrier had his first go around here too. Spurrier had some big wins, but like those wins over Tennessee and Florida were slump busters. I don't want to say slump buster, streak busters, because they hadn't beaten them a whole lot. So that's
how does that compare to James Franklin? No.
Yeah, maybe he has more top 10 wins than James Franklin. But if Vanderbilt is ranked in the playoff poll, Saturday's a chance to. Carolina has not beaten a ranked team on the road since Clemson in 2022. So, hey, there you go. Some schools, Clemson actually has a graveyard. Florida State does too, I think. I think that's where Tommy Bowden got it from. They have when they beat a ranked team on the road, they'll put a little tombstone.
Put a little.
We beat you on the road. So anyway, Gary chimes in the chat box. JC, what are your thoughts on Dana Holgerson going to Nebraska in an evolving offensive role? I think it's very interesting.
If any team needed to harden up on one side of the ball as opposed to the other, that would be a good candidate.
I think he's trying to hold on to Raiola as his quarterback. And look, guys, some people would say I go over the top with my. Not many people have said it, but I sniffed Marcus Satterfield out quick, like 2021 quick. Very few times has something I've said. There's only been a couple of coaches here in the whole 20 years I've been doing this that if I've said something and been emphatic about it, and there's usually a reason why I'm emphatic about it, that once they did it, it was night and day better. And that was the case with Satterfield. So what does that tell me? I've never coached a day in my life. You know, I've gotten rusty with evaluations, man. I don't even know if I could do that anymore. I think I can. I think I think I still got it. But you know, it's not like I'm some football god or anything, and far from it. And so when I'm saying that, and then it happens, and it's 63 points versus 6. That's not like a oh, we tweaked this. I mean, even Dowell Loggins, man, I hadn't said anything other than, you know, my big idea was play some new guys on the offensive line. I still kind of think there's one move they could make. I don't know. But listen to this. Listen to this. And this is, you know, you count the defensive scores and all that. Obviously, there's 3 defensive touchdowns in here. But if you're a bad, awful, no chance offensive team, I'm not saying mediocre. I'm not saying iffy, mid, as the kids say these days. If you're that kind of offensive team, in conference games, you're not putting up 31, 33, 25, 35, 44. No matter how good your defense is. And like I said, there's only 3 offensive touchdowns.
I was going to say, that's over 100 points with only
and a safety.
21. Yeah, 23.
There's 23. So there's 3 defensive touchdowns and a safety mixed into this. That's a pretty good score line. Now there's a 3 in there with Ole Miss. That stunk.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, there hasn't been the type of with him, it was like, there's no chance because of him. I mean, it's one thing when you know, the first year they're like, they don't have any personnel or whatever. I was like, your plan is all terrible. I mean, it's god awful. I mean,
you're running guys on and off the field for virtually every play. I mean, it was tough to watch.
They finally have to put Jason Brown out there. He runs around. And that kind of loosens things up so Carolina can give the ball and run the ball against Florida. And then they still turn around and lost to Missouri, not a good Missouri team. Found a way to beat Auburn, got completely annihilated by Clemson. And then for some reason, maybe we should try Joyner at quarterback in the bowl. All right, nothing to lose. Look what happened.
Yeah. Right.
The whole next year with Spencer Rattler was a dumpster fire with NFL talent all over the field. And then all of a sudden, it's like, don't be a dumpster. Here's why you're a dumpster fire. Don't be it anymore. It sounds good, but it doesn't work. It's the best offensive college football for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right.
Oh, who the funk? Wow. Even in the bowl game, when Carolina's down half their players and have no tight ends, offense looked pretty good because they're running fast and stuff. So that was just one. And then when he went to Nebraska, guys, it was the single. No matter what happens with the offensive coordinator moving forward here, right? I'll caveat by that. That was one of the greatest days in the history of South Carolina football. You know, because number one, it saved Shane Beamer from having to make an uncomfortable decision that people on the outside would have probably not understood. Why are you getting rid of a guy that scored 94 points against Tennessee and Clemson?
Right.
You know, especially after Beamer's comments. He was in the zone today. And I guarantee you that as hard-headed as some Satterfield was, because the guy was actually a pretty good play caller if he just let it go, like Frozen. Let it go, brother. You know, sister, I don't know. Let it go. And then his wife telling everybody they were stupid. I guarantee you I am smarter than his wife and him combined. I mean, they can't touch me combined. Yeah, just telling all the fans they were stupid. I'm like, this is the biggest bunch of gaslighting people I've ever seen in my life. So good for Matt Rule for hiring him. But I knew, and then last year, kind of like first year at South Carolina, they didn't have a quarterback. But I'll never forget, God, I was watching them play Colorado, and they got a drive going or somebody. Sure enough, here comes somebody in like the third motion after they sub 3. They're in 13 personnel, and the center snaps the ball because he didn't know what he's doing. The offensive line has no idea what they're doing. Nebraska's supposed to have a good offensive line, by the way. Snaps the ball, goes right into the butt of caroms off. They made Colorado's defense look like world beaters last year, and they suck. right? And that was the problem too. Teams like Florida that had a bad defense looked like the 85 Bears, and it wasn't it's because of him, right? So they hire him, and then so then it's like, okay, well, and look, I think had Marcus Satterfield not ever gone to the Panthers, it may be a different story, because back when he wasn't great when he ran Temple's offense, college offense. He wasn't great at Tennessee Tech. He wasn't great at Baylor. I don't even know if he ran it when he went to Baylor. I think by then it was different. But I mean, it wasn't like you have no chance because of your coordinator. But he went to the NFL and caught some disease. and I'm like, bro, you were the assistant to the assistant for 1 year.
All that
on a
terrible
terrible team. You can't go call it like that. I mean, and you see the same stuff happen with Nebraska. They have no chance, not because they haven't improved their personnel, but because of what they do. So here's what's going to be interesting. Dana Holgerson's like completely different.
Right.
This dude is weird. He's like the closest thing to the late great Mike Leach, personality wise.
Yeah, he's a character. Yeah, he's a
bro.
character.
I heard a story. Bro lived in like a hotel, like when he was at Oklahoma State with his girlfriend, just outskirts of Stillwater. Yeah, bro, what's up? I mean, but he's an air raid, like go fast, call plays with cartoons on the cartoons they have on the sidelines.
That's right.
Maybe there is Frozen. Maybe he's got a play called Let It Go. And so I'm like sitting there going, that is absolutely the craziest type of guy you could bring in for the bunch you've got.
Yeah, from that heady group in there now, right?
Yeah, what's he going to say? He's probably going to laugh.
Do you know what it is? It's like, hey, you probably remember this movie, and if not, check it out. The movie With Honors, where Joe Pesci's that bum who lives at Harvard, and they start bringing him in to interact with the professors and whatnot. That's exactly what it's going to be, bringing Dana Holgerson in there. He's going to be this bum Joe Pesci who's just as smart as the rest of them, but they're all going to condescend to him, the entire time he's there until the offense starts rolling.
Years later, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck took that script and rewrote it and called it Good Will Hunting.
Right.
And put Robin Williams and really kind of a smoking hot Minnie Driver at the time in it. And won an Oscar. How about them apples? Basically, that's what it's my same thing that like the Wachowski sisters, I guess they're the sisters now, literally ripped off James Cameron and the Terminator when they did The Matrix. How hard is it to write that? They're good movies. Don't get me wrong. We're all obsessed with machines colonizing us and taking over.
Right. Yeah,
but instead of
simulation,
those two are probably just sitting there. They're from Chicago, so they can't talk like this. Hey, they were males back then. Hey, brother. Why don't we take the Terminator and kind of rearrange it? But instead of Skynet, trying to exterminate everybody, get this, the humans are still alive, but the machines are farming them for their energy.
That's right.
Right. But same backstory, same universe. And instead of John Connor, we'll have we got to call it Nero. Yeah, let's do it. Nero, awesome.
Yeah.
How the hell hard is that to write? If you've got a template.
Yeah, that's right. You've already got it laid out for you.
That's like me going and saying, "Hey, Phil." So we're gonna write a movie about a moron who does amazing things. And instead of playing football,
right,
and going to Vietnam, he's going to be a basketball player. Come on, it's just
goes to the Persian Gulf. Who goes
to the Gulf? He's a Gulf War
right.
veteran,
He's
like
a Gulf
Independence
War
Day.
vet. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, even like the aliens are attacking the Earth movies, Independence Day, and all those. Even those have some sort of like they don't go follow the same. Yeah, I mean, no, but hey, guess what? Nobody believes me on that. So, fans, believe me on that like you believe me on Marcus Satterfield. The Matrix is the Terminator, and the Terminator is the Matrix. It's the same thing. They put some different fixings on it. I don't know how many of you have seen Eastbound and Down, but that would be good. But my point, but Gary, what are my thoughts on it? I think it's delicious. That's the best way I can describe it. It's delicious. I think it's wonderful. I'm happy for the great fans of Nebraska football. And I think Marcus Satterfield's days are probably numbered. So don't let him back to South Carolina, man, unless it's something. How about assistant offensive line coach? or no, analyst. I mean, because I'll say this: the guy's got some really good play designs. He's known how to get the team in and out of them. I mean, how to teach it. I mean, So anyway,
well, and that was one of the biggest things with Flo for play calling with him too. It was like, okay, you can have multiple personnel groupings, but you can't run a new one out there for every
slower
play.
Than Al crap, slow. Spencer got confused, and dude, they are the cadence play. There was a play that was 13 words long, and you're like, did you do this when you were at Tennessee Tech? No, you went up there and got all. So anyway, I do think Nebraska made a smart move. And I'm proud of Matt Rule for doing it because I like Matt Rule. I mean, I could care it. Like I've always said, the pros, different story. Nobody's winning with the Panthers, but the Panthers are the point where they're getting people fired for losing to them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
I know. Well, yeah. Well, he had it coming.
Oh God, poor Spencer Rattler, by the way.
Asked him to do the impossible. I mean, here we're going to give you an offensive line that might be as good as the one you played behind at Carolina.
Maybe.
Might.
That poor guy. I tell you, when he finally gets a supporting cast, that guy's going to kill it.
Yeah, he's going to do well. He just can't do it all. I mean, I don't know. Crazy.
All right. So Jamie back yet or not?
No, not quite yet. We do need to double the break, so we could take a quick break here, and by the time we get back, he'll be back. Let's do that.
All right, let's
one behind.
Rock and roll that here on Election Day inside the Gamecocks the show. We'll be back.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
Touchdown Brewer. Set up the screen, and it goes to Brewer. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Brewer, his second of the day. Pitches it to Brewer, turns the corner. Touchdown, number 3 of the afternoon.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right, you know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business, one of the best businesses in South Carolina. How do I know that? Well, for one, I'm actually a client of Ryan's. I had my home in Columbia done years ago, and his crew did an outstanding job, just as he does for everybody else. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience, and service, second to none. Ryan Brewer Fence has over 15 years of experience with consultation and installation of residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured, your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer. Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell them Mike sent you.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Disaster comes uninformed. During and after natural disasters or accidents, there can be a heavy loss to property. It can become extremely difficult to bounce back to what you knew before. Having your home or office destroyed or damaged by water, fire, smoke, or mold affects your personal and business lifestyle. Resto Pros of the Midlands is here to help. Open 24/7. Call them when you need them. 803-493-0170. Resto Pros of the Midlands. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com. Man, that's good.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cards while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Fans, Club Chief has arrived. Become a Big Chief Club member or a Big Chief Club Golden Gear member for exclusive access to our Nana's Porch chat box on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Plus, you'll get access to our VIP tailgates, prize drawings, merch, and much more. A portion of your monthly membership goes to the Garnet Trust, supporting NIL at the University of South Carolina. Pull up your Chief Sports app and join on the home page. Thank you so much for being a member of Club Chief, and we look forward to meeting many of you very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
All right, it's 1:32. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barn Dough Co. presented by our friends at Resto Pros. Resto Pros, there when you need them. Resto Pros of the Midlands. Nothing substantial today except for the injury stuff. It looks like Mazio Bennett's okay, so we'll see him on Saturday up in Nashville. He did mention the physicality of Vanderbilt, and I think that's one of the things that they haven't had around there in a while. So as JC has been saying for quite some time, it's probably going to be a physical football team in the Music City. Fine. Do we have one more break, Phil? Do we still have one left?
No, we just dumped it all out.
Okay.
We're good. We're good.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. So nothing substantial there on the Shane Beamer front from his Tuesday afternoon press conference.
Glad to hear about Mazio, though. That was I was concerned for his health after that, because you could tell immediately when he stood up he was not okay. And I'm like, oh, let's hope it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy about that? Like, I'm not like whatever, it is what it is. That because they didn't grab him by the face mask, just by the helmet.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, you talk about all these things that are in place for player safety. I mean, for goodness sakes, you can't push a quarterback over, but yet a wide receiver, you can just twist his head. But as long as you don't grab the face mask, I mean, again, I'm not like complaining about it, and just because it happened in the Carolina game. I'm just saying, like, for college football in general, you think about all the rule changes that they did. I mean, in the NFL, you can't even sprint on the kickoffs anymore, but yet you can tackle a guy and turn his helmet there was actually a penalty on the play when they threw the elbow into his face at the end of it that was missed, but you can spin a guy and almost break his neck, but you didn't grab his face mask. So it's not a penalty. I don't know. Just one of those things, I guess. So, hey, back to what we were talking about earlier, as far as, how many teams would be in there tonight, top 12, whatever. McMurphy did put out his, he, now that he's with the Action Network, he gets into this stuff every year, and he goes throughout the season with his bowl projections, and Brett's pretty good at it. I got to give him some credit. He's also pretty funny to follow on Twitter. He's got 4 teams in from the SEC in the top 12, Georgia at 2, Texas at 6. He's still got A&M in there at 9. And he's got the Vols in there at number 12. This was put out yesterday morning at 9:00. For what it's worth, go ahead, JC.
On what planet is A&M ahead of Tennessee? I mean,
you got it with McMurphy. I don't trust him, because he hasn't.
I think he does a really good job with some things, but there's some bias there, I think.
Yeah, he values A&M that well to be in the projection, but did not vote for Carolina in the top 25, who just beat a team that he put into the top 12.
He's buying. I think he buys into that stupid narrative about Tennessee that just because they're not scoring. I think it's even more impressive they're not scoring points and winning. Because I didn't think Josh Heupel could have won that way. I mean, you tell me Tennessee's going to have trouble hitting 30 this year, I'm like, that's a 4-8 football team. And they're not.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's fair.
So, I mean, look, college football is not structured to entertain the freaking media. It's structured to win games for your school, okay? And then these people have been doing this for forever. Like back when the Big 12 was cool, and that's kind of where his loyalties lies, Oklahoma State guy. The West Virginia beat Baylor 70-66 one day. Good God, it looked like 7-on-7. People were talking about what a great game it was.
Yeah.
That was the best game of all time. I'm like, nobody's playing defense. Anyway, go ahead. My bad.
Well, I obviously looked at that, but then scrolled down just to see where he had placed the other SEC teams in their bowl projections, because Carolina's got it's a very high chance that they're going to be bowling at this point in time, as we all well know. The other SEC teams he had Missouri taking on Louisville in the Gator Bowl, and I have my serious doubts about that, but he's got them in there. He's got Bama and Illinois in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, LSU and Michigan in the Music City Bowl, and then down in Tampa in the ReliaQuest, which of course used to be the Outback, RIP, the Outback Bowl. He's got the Gamecocks in there against Iowa on New Year's Eve, which would mean that they would probably have to win at least 7, if not 8, right, to get into that game. The crazy thing is, and real quick before I do that, the rest of the bowl projections, 24/7's got Music City Bowl against Michigan. ESPN has the Texas Bowl versus Texas Tech. USA Today, Music City, Michigan. CBS has them in Vegas against Colorado. Boy, that'd be something. College Football News has them playing the Wolverines again in the Music City Bowl. So that's 3. And Athlon Sports has them in Nashville, but against Illinois. The crazy thing is, though, there's like, if you look at the league standings, right? Okay, Georgia, they have Ole Miss and they've got Tennessee. Both Tennessee and the Dogs have a loss. All right. The Vols, of course, still have to play Vanderbilt too. And that's probably, and that is their second most difficult game. It is in Nashville. Of course, there will be a lot of Vol fans there too. But my point is, Georgia or Tennessee is going to have a second loss no matter what, because they play each other. One of them could have 3, but they're going to have a second loss no matter what. Texas still has to play. They've got Florida this weekend. At the end of the year, they got A&M. They got a trip to Arkansas in between that. They got Kentucky. So we'll see. So there is a hypothetical here where 2 league teams could play in the SEC championship, both with 1 loss. But everybody in the league is going to have multiple losses this year, except 1 team, maybe. There's a real scenario where every team in the SEC has at least 2 losses. And so kind of going back to what you were saying a little while ago, JC, like talking about you and Phil, I mean, we've all kind of mentioned it in our own way here. If you've got all these teams think about if Carolina runs the table. Let's just have fun with this segment. They run the table and they go undefeated in November. They finish the year at 9-3, but they wouldn't be in the SEC title game, of course. 5-3 in league play. They would be amongst how many teams with 2 or 3 losses at that point in time? I mean, it could be 4, 5, 6 teams out of the SEC. I think this thing's going to get stranger and stranger and stranger. You could have like an 8-4 team in a place like Birmingham if it gets as wacky as it could possibly get. If you really think about it, there is no tie-in this year with the Mayo Bowl. So if you could literally have like an 8-4 or 7-5, really good 7-5 team in a place like Birmingham.
If I'm South Carolina, I know they've never played in the Music City Bowl, but if it gets that bad, just send them to Vegas, in my opinion.
Yeah,
someplace new. Because they most of the time, if a team plays at Vanderbilt, the Music City wants to pass. But Brad Crawford was reporting that, and he's got good bowl sources, that the Music City's kind of got their eye on Carolina.
Yeah,
because they've never played there.
Heard that before, though, JC.
Whatever. I mean, it's just because Kentucky's season's gone in the tank. They don't ever want care. I mean, they're scrambling, and those people and the Peach Bowl people. If Carolina's got a chance to kind of snarf all over, turn them down, I don't have a problem with it. But I know for some people that don't want to fly to Las Vegas, they'd rather drive to Nashville. I get it too. So I'll shut up. But
each is a quarterfinal game this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wrote about this on the website. The major bowl era has ended. Good riddance, because Carolina never made one ever. They did play in the Peach Bowl twice before it was a major bowl, and then the Tangerine Bowl they played in the 70s.
Yeah,
and it became the Citrus. But then when they what is now the Cheez-It or Pop-Tarts Bowl, sort of took the Tangerine Bowl's history. Is weird.
Well, it's Cheez-It Citrus Bowl now.
Yeah, but it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl was the Cheez-It Bowl. Now it's the Cheez-It. So anyway, point is, if you're Carolina, if it's a 7 or 8 win, like mid-tier bowl, man, send them. I say send them to Vegas. It's the Friday after Christmas. It's on a weekend. Everybody that wants to get a camp, maybe you do play Colorado. That'd be kind of fun. It's in an NFL stadium. It's indoors. That's good. But I think South Carolina, if they went out, it's going to probably go a little higher than that. I can't see if they win 6 straight football games and they're 9-3.
Everybody's going to want it, especially the win over Clemson.
Yeah, versus say a 9-3 LSU who thought they were going to the playoffs and maybe fell, or some team like that. I don't know that LSU, although if LSU loses one more game, that's 3 losses. And LSU, I think, went last year too to the Citrus Bowl. Then the Citrus Bowl and the SEC will make the right decision and take the Gamecocks, I think. Well, so, and that's the best. The Citrus Bowl is the best you can do in the playoff era because there are no more New Year's 6 bowls.
That's right. And Bama, so Bama or LSU is going to have 3 losses this year. They play this weekend. So somebody's going to have 3 losses, either Alabama or LSU. If either one of those teams finishes with 3 losses, which I would say if Alabama gets beat this weekend, I'll be honest with you, whoever does lose this weekend is probably their last loss of the year. LSU's got Florida, Vandy, Oklahoma. You like them in all those games, right? Alabama's got Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. You like them in all those games. You never know.
I like Bama to win out more than LSU. Vandy's very capable of clipping them down there, that bunch.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Oklahoma doesn't have now look, if Oklahoma rises up on Missouri and their receivers are back and they just play, because the Alabama defense is just like sometimes they don't show. They've showed recently, and that game's in Norman.
Oklahoma has to win this weekend.
Oklahoma's defense is good enough to maybe spring an upset. I don't see them winning in Baton Rouge, but as far as like, if you want to get both of those teams to 3 losses or more, LSU's closer. They both own the head-to-head on Carolina, so who knows what'll happen there. The best thing for Carolina would be have 2 teams sort of run away with it and beat everybody else. And so everybody except for, say, Tennessee and Texas or whoever are sitting there with Tennessee and Georgia or Georgia and Texas are sitting there with 1 loss. Everybody else has 2, 3, 4. Because then you can start talking about the playoff. And there is a small sliver of a path. It's unfortunate Bama and LSU play each other because they both have wins. And then Ole Miss would have to lose. But, how many are they going to take? Are they really just going to take 2 or 3 from the SEC? No. So.
Well, not 2. But I could see a scenario where they took 3. You know what actually would have affected this? And it's hard to say it. And it's hard for Carolina fans to want to hear it. But Louisville beating Clemson. I mean, you in a perfect, like if you wanted to play out the perfect, like we love having these conversations, right? All these hypotheticals during college football season. This is part of the spirit of the sport. And going into last weekend in a perfect November scenario, Carolina would have won out. Clemson would have won out until that final weekend, and Gamecocks knock them off up there. And by that time, Clemson would well be into the playoff. It'd be the best win of the year for South Carolina. And then you finish on that flourish, and you see what happens to the SEC title game and all these other championship games across the country. And then maybe it falls your way. But getting beat by Louisville for the Tigers, it will not diminish, but that win wouldn't end up being as valuable in the eyes of the committee as it once would have had Clemson only had 1 loss.
Yeah, and they won 10 in a row. You snap their winning streak. I mean, you know how it goes up there, though, guys. We've all watched a bunch of Clemson football through the years, and what happens is that none of the teams they play are very good.
Yeah, I don't buy that this time, though, man, because they got back-to-back road trips. I don't buy it.
You don't think they're going to turn it around and find a way? I don't think. What's Virginia Tech's quarterback situation? Anybody checked on that?
No.
Is their quarterback still hurt? Because the guy behind him stinks.
He's not good. You're right. And we got to look into that. I will say, though, Pittsburgh has a big swollen black eye after what happened at SMU. How good is SMU?
I'm surprised they're that good on defense. My goodness. I mean, Pitt's got a pretty good offense and scheme, and they shut them completely. I mean, that's the team. You talk to folks around the ACC, contacts, people that coach. I mean, that's with Stanford and Cal. Nobody was worried about those guys. But
guys, you know what's left on SMU's schedule? Have you looked at it?
Oh,
Man,
it's
yeah.
a walk right into Charlotte now. I mean,
It's just don't fall asleep
we
here.
go back
Yeah.
to the mid '80s, brother.
I mean, you're talking about
if the playoff is like SMU, BYU,
yeah, dude, they're
Miami,
off.
Miami,
They play this. They don't play this weekend, and they got Boston College at home. They go to Virginia. These are two of the worst teams in the league, and then at the end of the year they got Cal, and they're the worst team in the league.
So you could have technically
Florida State
4 conference winners who are undefeated outside of the SEC. But you have obviously we're including the group of 5 here. Does one sneak in because of all the chaos that the SEC has had to the top 4 over one of the SEC teams?
Yeah, this is the
Army
problem.
runs the table, right?
So
Let's say Army runs the
yeah.
table, and they're the one. Like I think you throw Boise out because they already have a loss.
Well, look, this is the issue we were talking about in the summer. This is the problem they're going to have. Okay, how are you going to? This is why a 16 team is inevitable. How are you going to have? You can't. Okay, just use the Gamecocks as an example. If they finish 9-3. And they're not in the playoff, and I don't know, name somebody. Army's in there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody would love the story there, but
there's no way in God's green earth Army should go over a 3-loss SEC team. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
That's
not what I'm saying, though.
What if Notre Dame drops one more game? And then they would be
somebody.
Yeah, to whoever.
They would be out. I would have to say they're out.
Well, maybe.
Because one of those, that Northern Illinois team they lost to, everybody was like, they're going to be the group of 5. No, they're not even any good.
No.
They suck, actually. So
they took a quad 4 loss there.
They took a quad 4 loss there. And then
they got Army.
Their schedule's not good enough for them to. I don't care what they did to Navy. They beat the crap out of Navy every single year.
Yeah.
Right? They beat Army.
Well, their best win's A&M. Their best win is A&M.
Best win is at Texas A&M. I doubt. A 2-loss Notre Dame to me is a bridge too far, in my opinion. But man, I just looked at the Big 12 standings. Right?
Yeah.
So most of the pundits, myself included, felt like Oklahoma State, Arizona, Kansas, Utah would be the top teams, with Utah the top team and UCF a sleeper. The bottom 5 teams in that league are UCF, Utah, Kansas, Arizona, and Oklahoma State. Not a damn one of them has a winning record. Utah's 500. They have no shot. At the top, you got BYU, Iowa State. I did say they were a sleeper. Coach Prime, and then the ever tricky Kansas State Wildcats. Now, if you're Carolina and you're trying to sneak in the playoff, and I know it's not going to happen, just being honest, just hear me out. You want Kansas State to somehow run the table and then win the Big 12 with 2 losses, because then nobody else is getting in from that league, right?
I would say you're the biggest Texas Tech fan either too. That could possibly as well. Yeah.
K-State does play at Iowa State in the last game of the season. They got a resurgent Sun Devils team in Arizona State and Cincinnati before that. But they lost at BYU, so BYU's actually really good.
Well, I mean, they would be in the top 4 if it stopped today, because they'd win the Big 12.
Yeah, well, so would Miami. But so BYU though.
Hey, did they get upset this weekend? Is this that wild, weird BYU Utah game? They played
the Holy War.
Is this where it ends? Like Utah's like,
it's at Rice Eccles Stadium. Yeah, and Utah could save their season. I mean, they are just 4-4. They can't. I don't think they can get back in the conference mix because they're 1-4 in the league.
No,
but can't. They could get back and win 8-9 games. I mean, they haven't played it, but they've had Cam Rising's 172 years old, and he got hurt again. I mean, at some point you just gotta let it go. But yeah, BYU's remaining schedule's not. If they get past Utah, it's Kansas, at a tricky Arizona State team that is 6-2.
Yep.
And then the University of Houston that had an upset win. Who did Houston beat this past week? Actually, Houston hadn't been playing bad. Willie Fritz.
They beat Kansas State.
Yeah, they beat Kansas State. Yeah.
So
Up
Willie
and coming
Fritz.
Houston.
They turned it around.
The Houston team is getting better. Every week.
I mean, Willie Fritz is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, they didn't score a point for like.
I
3
don't know.
weeks.
I don't see anybody but one team coming out of this league, unless BYU makes it all the way to the title game and loses by like a point.
Loses, right? Yeah,
but they have to be dominant against everybody else. Because SMU has one loss. Guess who it's to? BYU by 3 points.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. And if they do get to the title game and lose, it probably has to be to Iowa State. I don't know. Maybe Kansas State or Colorado are sexy enough to get in there. I'm not sure.
The problem is we don't have a sample yet until tonight, and then we'll see where the committee's head's at.
Who is Kansas State beating?
Nobody
Colorado,
good.
Colorado's their best win.
No,
I mean they did the at Tulane is pretty impressive. Colorado's
their best win.
West Virginia is falling off the face of the earth.
Who's Colorado beat?
Nah,
they didn't beat anyone.
They stormed the field when they beat Baylor by a point, man.
Yeah, Cincinnati's their best win.
That's unbelievable.
Gosh, it really is. That's crazy.
It doesn't seem that way because we had high expectations for Arizona and high expectations for UCF. But those teams, I don't know what's wrong. I guess somebody didn't evaluate the portal properly or something. But, I mean, you look at that. In the group of 5, I think somebody's going to have to knock off Boise for anybody else to have a shot. And Louisiana would be in that mix. Colorado State's actually undefeated in the league. UNLV's got 3 Power 4 wins. The MAC the Western Michigan's leading the MAC. I mean, remember we all kind of thought Toledo or Bowling Green or somebody like that would go. It's been even the Akron Zips have won a game in the league this year. Western Kentucky's donkey. They got beat by Bama 63-0. The Big Ten to me is interesting because how many of these teams really they're going to take? I mean, Indiana deserves it right now. Penn State, I think, fringe playoff team. Oregon and Ohio State probably, but dude.
Well, something that you mentioned, Boise State, something to keep an eye on tonight is how highly ranked are the Broncos when this initial, because they're not losing the rest of the season. All right. I mean, they've got Nevada at San Jose State, at my poor Wyoming Cowboys are not good. And then they've got Oregon State. All right. So you're talking about they're gonna finish the year 11-1, and then they're gonna probably have to play Colorado State in the conference title game. Now they haven't played Colorado State yet this year. Colorado State's they're all right. They're all right. But if they finish the year 12-1, it's, as we talk about all the time, you're talking about the 4 highest ranked conference champions. So Big Ten's going to be in there. SEC is going to be in there. And then,
ACC.
I guess, but if Miami,
if SMU and Miami went out, yeah, I mean, because all right, so Boise's sitting at 12th.
So who's the highest ranked Big 12 team right now? That's BYU, right?
Yeah, and the rules state that the 5 highest ranked conference teams get in, the top 4 get a bye. So you do have beyond the power, you have a 5th automatic bid if you're ranked high enough.
Yeah.
So technically what you're saying is Boise could win out if the committee has them on fringe top 10, right? And then
watch everybody lose around them.
Everybody loses, like say the Big 12 champ and all that good, and there's an upset in the ACC, and maybe they're not. Then you could actually have one of those 2 Power 4 conferences not get an auto bid and be locked out of the playoffs.
Well, in Boise and SMU right now, per the AP, are 12 and 13. So where is SMU tonight as well? It's going to be. I mean, it's. There is a good chance. I'm not going to call it a great chance or a better than. a decent to good chance that it's not the way that everybody thought it would be, which would be SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC as your top 4, and they all get the bye. There is a chance that Boise could sneak in there. And if it is a team out of the ACC, there's also a chance, based on the way Miami's defense plays, that it could be SMU. Or shoot, it could be Clemson. I mean, I don't think they'll be ranked high enough, though, to get a bye. If Clemson were to – matter of fact, I think Clemson's going to lose again, so it probably won't be them. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, if you're Boise, though, do you want to be in that top 4? I say no. No, you want to be 5. You want there to be 4 Power 4 conferences ahead of you. Because you're not going to compete against – no, but you get a home game.
But
you
want
to
a home
advance,
game,
send somebody up there and play on that blue-ass field.
On the blue turf, and then you probably get the 4th.
Yeah.
Best.
You get 5-4. Well, that's where you want to be. You want to be 4. I'd rather be 4. Give me the bye, and I'll take 5 if they win.
Yeah, and depth plays a factor with G5, regardless of who you are.
True, yeah, because you're playing an extra game.
So you probably want to.
You want the bye. I mean, that's the screwy thing about all this. Like, if one day the Gamecocks won the league and they were in the top 4, and they wouldn't get to host a game at Williams-Brice Stadium, but the 8th team, which could be whoever, Arkansas would.
Dude, I think that's what's going to end up pushing us to 16, because you're going to have fans that from the SEC that don't give a flip about winning the SEC championship game because they can get another home game. Right. Like say Georgia beats Bama.
Yeah, good.
Georgia fans are like, God, we got to go to Phoenix again or New Orleans again. And and Bama fans are like, woohoo, go get me some tickets and let's get our tailgate back together, brother, because this is another home game in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and you go to the classic playoff system, the top 8 host games, and then you move into the bowls for neutrals. Yeah.
Amen. And that's easy to do. So we'll see.
All right. Tomorrow's Wednesday. That means Steven Garcia will be here. Watch out. Look forward to that. Thanks to Alex Jones and Pat DiMarco for joining us, and all of you. Parting shots, Mad Dog or Schubert, anything?
Yeah, next time y'all see me, I'll be in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, heading down tonight? Nice.
No,
tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nash Vegas?
I'm not 100% on the show on Thursday. I haven't found out about my meeting yet, but I'll let you guys know.
Well, we would appreciate that. If you don't
I will. I really would let you know earlier, but I'm waiting to hear back from some folks. So I'm pretty sure I'll be here. But anyway, I'll be
very
live from Music City this weekend and in Columbia for next weekend. So looking forward to finally getting out and seeing the Gamecocks play.
Yeah, man.
A reminder, club chief members, check your emails and get your tickets for our tailgate next Saturday, as they will be gone. Check your emails. JC can forward those out again, and just in case you missed it or something like that. Yeah. But we look forward to seeing all of you before the Missouri game. For Mad Dog and Schubert, I'm JB, and we'll see you tomorrow at 11 on ITG.